Miles Savage. Bliss is ready. Not a very good kick, and it'll go out of bounds, and Wake Forest will get great field position to start the football game. Wake Forest, under the direction of Brian Cooklick, the sophomore out of Halborough, Pennsylvania. Wande Shaw and Morgan Kane will start in the backfield. We'll see a lot of John Lewis at fullback. Good wide receivers. Offensive line headed up by Doug Marsigli, the 3-year starter at left guard, and Tony Yarnell, the 3-year starter at right guard.
Keep our eye on those tackles, Mr. Morgan, because they're going to have their work cut out for them today. Yarnell and Flo.
We had the wrong football. You will get teams that have different brands. They had the Florida State football out there. Now they've got a Wake Forest football for Brian Cooklick.
Gotta have your own football nowadays.
At the 35, that's where they get it after the kick went out of bounds. Well, okay, well, they can put on the hash. Kane, the lone setback. Cooklick going deep, had a man wide open. He had Desmond Clark open in the secondary. James Colsey bit on the little slant move, but Cooklick overshot the mark.
Jack, why does it always seem to happen this way for the underdog? This is what you need to start the football game off with a big play for a touchdown, but no! That's overthrow when you've got a guy who slips. Wow.
2nd and 10 now for Wake as they'll go with a 3 wide receiver set again. Kane, the lone setback. And Cooklick will put it up again. Under pressure, that's a backwards pass. And it will be a loss of 9 yards on the play as he tried to throw it to Morgan Kane in the backfield. Darrell Bush was over in the vicinity, and it'll make it a 3rd and long. Defensively, Florida State outstanding. Wilson and Bulwar anchor those guys up front. Darrell Bush, terrific, the man in the middle. Secondary has been solid all year. James Colsey gets a start at the field corner this afternoon. The lateral or backwards pass moves the ball back to the 26, and now it's 3rd and 19. Wake converting just over 30% of their 3rd downs, and pass intended for Tabidi Davis is broken up by Chevin Smith.
Boy, Smith was closer to the football than the intended receiver. This is what Brian Cooklick has to get out of his mind now. He's still dealing with the 1st down play where he had a touchdown but missed an open receiver.
Dee Feaster will be the safety awaiting the kick of Trip Moore, who is averaging just under 38 yards a punt this year. Pressure on, and somehow Moore got it away. Feaster, fair catch at his own 39-yard line. Timeout on the field. We've only played 20 seconds of action here in the 1st quarter. We'll be back after this message from CarQuest Auto Parts. Seconds off the clock, so Dan Kendra gets out there for his first collegiate start. Florida State with the ball at its own 39-yard line. And he'll give it to Warwick Dunn on 1st down, and Dunn will lose yardage. Great pressure by Fred Robbins, the defensive tackle, to drop Dunn in the backfield. Pooh Bear Williams, the giant fullback, will be in front of Dunn. Peter Warwick is starting at wide receiver. Andre Cooper got hurt. We'll talk about that. Terrific offensive line in front of those skilled players, headed up by right guard Chad Bates. Play action fake. Kendra with all kinds of running room. And he'll He'll be out close to first down yardage, and they're going to call a late hit on the play, even though there wasn't very much contact. That's a surprising flag right in front of Jim Caldwell.
Happened about 5 yards outside of the chalk. Jeffrey Myers, free safety, comes up, puts a little hit on a guy, the strongest leg on the Florida State team, so I don't think he'll be hurt by this one.
Ron Cherry is our referee this afternoon. Good play action fake here, Doc.
It really was. And Chad Bates, as you mentioned early on, the guy you highlighted, kept his feet long enough to allow that edge, and then you see the hit. Yeah, on the chalk. That you want to avoid early on. That'll change the course of the ball game. Keep the kids a little more aware.
If Jeff Myers had kept his head up, I would have avoided that contact, but the penalty takes it down inside the Wake Forest 38, 1st and 10 for the Seminoles. Pooh Bear Williams, the giant fullback, gets a couple on the play. Robert Fatzinger is the first to make contact. He and Harold Gregg will start at the ends with Robbins and Joyner in the middle. Kelvin Moses, the middle linebacker, is their leading tackler. A young defensive unit. That's true in the secondary as well. Major Griffey, one of their veteran players, he will be at one of the cornerback spots. Myers and Stetzer, good hitters out of the secondary in the safety spots. Little inside handoff to Warrick Dunn, and he knifes his way down close to the 30-yard line. He'll be a little more than 2 yards shy of a first down. Harold Gregg and Fred Robbins there for the Demon Deacons.
So tough to deal with a young man averaging 6.2 yards per carry. Doesn't have the amount of carries I'm sure he'd like to have, but they have so many weapons on this offensive unit.
Trying to become the first Seminole to rush for 1,000 yards in 3 seasons.
I'm not a wagering guy, but I'd wager on that.
They give it to Dunn on 3rd down. Good hole on the left side. First down inside the 25. A great block by Todd Fordham. Jeff Myers on the stop for Wake Forest.
Boy, that's fantastic. You talk about the tunnel when you ruck sweep. See, 65 pull. He comes out, that's Chad Bates, and he gives that back an indication where to go. When you got the Jets, like Warrick Dunn does, it doesn't take you long to get there. There he is. 6'3", 265-pound senior out of Columbia, South Carolina.
Florida State using the no huddle offense. Kendra's first pass attempt is short and behind the intended target, Peter Warrick. D'Angelo Solomon on the coverage. Let's go down to the field. Chip Carter's got an update for us on Andre Cooper.
Yeah, thanks a lot, John. Jack, this is the story on Andre Cooper. He slipped during warm-ups out here on this field, which is the turf is beautiful right now. Slipped on warm-up, might have torn cartilage in his right knee, is not in uniform, is on the sideline. Will go through an MRI tomorrow, Jack.
All right, so Peter Warrick will get the call. Kendra on the roll, trying to buy some time. The big guy, what a move! Kendra fights his way close to a first down. Not only the strength, but displaying some elusiveness as well.
Well, you know, it's crazy. When you think about this young man and his dimensions, 6'2", 238-pounder, what I question right now, want to see, is his arm strength and his accuracy with his arm. I don't question his legs. Watch this guy now. Once he makes up his mind to take it upfield, there's move one, there's some power, lowers the shoulder, delivers the blow. Boy, that's ugly. That is ugly to get run over by a QB.
On 3rd down, they give it to the tailback, and Warrick Dunn will have first down yardage again. D'Angelo Solomon on the hit, but it's 1st and goal for the Seminoles.
You've always got the threat of number 28, Warrick Dunn. Here on the short toss, Pooh Bear with the nice block on the edge. Nice again, we talk about Carlton, or that Pearsall. Pearsall with a tomahawk block by the tight end.
Look at the numbers in the red zone for Florida State. They've only failed to score 3 times. Pooh Bear Williams, the 280-pound fullback, lumbers down just inside the 5-yard line. Not since the days that Pete Johnson played for Ohio State and then the Cincinnati Bengals have we seen a fullback that big.
It was unbelievable. Pete was 260, would run 4'6", 4'6", 5", wanted the football. Matter of fact, one time he was 275.
Now they're trying to get Pooh Bear down in that 270 range if they could. Came to camp at about 290. Kendra on 2nd and goal. Looking for Nesson in the end zone. by the coverage on the play by Major Griffey, and he might be called for interference.
Well, with that kind of time, it's virtually impossible for a cornerback to run with the likes of Green, Messam, Cooper, Warwick, these guys. Too much talent.
Yeah, they'll actually call it defensive holding against Griffey, which will make it an automatic first down. Let's see if we can pick up the infraction to the right of your screen.
That's the big guys up front. Again, they create that wall, that protection. There is Kendra. Nobody within a yard and a half of pressure. Nice position with the football. Had to happen a little back before we got in the aerial shot, but good throw, good positioning by Kendra.
Griffey, the fifth-year senior out of Norton, Virginia. So Dan Kendra will have it first and goal now, just outside the 2-yard line. Warwick, the lone wide receiver, Charlton and Pearsall both in the game as twin tight ends. Kendra tosses to Warwick Dunn. Good open field play by Tom Stetzer. A late flag comes in as well. Stetzer took on Pooh Bear Williams, knocked him down, and made the tackle.
Well, 195 versus 285, and that's programmed 285. Could be higher. Let's watch the angle he takes. That's most important. So he gets on the outside of Pooh Bear, gives up the body, and still makes the play. That's highlight material there, folks. Here we watch it again. See, Pooh Bear takes a nice approach, tries to root him out. Tom gets a little lower, gets outside position, and makes a fantastic play.
And at the end of the play, away from the football, Peter Warwick was called for a holding.
With holding on the offense, that's a 10-yard penalty. Will still help.
Still first down. They take it from the spot of the foul, which was the 2, back to the 12-yard line. Bobby Bowden, second winningest coach among active coaches. You see what he has done at Florida State, a winning percentage just under 80%. That's remarkable.
Man, that is, woo. That's something you can brag about.
Only Joe Paterno among active coaches has won more football games. The toss to Dunn on first and goal from the 12, cuts back inside, but pretty good pursuit by the Wake Forest defense. Tom Stetzer is there again, along with David Zadell, the demon back.
Well, that's good defense. Really good. You have the tendency to overrun a guy with his great speed. The key is to take your angles, you know, and come outside in. It's a great block at the point of attack by Pooh Bear. Again, as you mentioned, Tom doesn't give up his position on that. Starts with a nice play, back-to-backs for Wake.
Actually lost a couple of yards in the play. It's second and goal from the 14 now with just under 10 minutes to play here in the first quarter. We are scoreless. Draw play, Dunn, bouncing off tackler. Warwick Dunn, touchdown. From no gain to touchdown.
Well, I had a chance to watch Barry Sanders in person last week against the Green Bay Packers, and that's the only human that I've seen do things like this. I mean, this play is stopped. Again, Wake, great penetration. There's the pile. See, Chad Bates keeps his feet moving. That helps out a lot. How does this guy come out of there?
Scott Bentley on to try the conversion, and he nails it. And Florida State puts the first points up on the board here in the Citrus Bowl in Orlando, Florida. Florida State with a 7-0 advantage. 9:44 to play here in the first quarter. We'll be back after this word from your local ACC station.
It's Truck Month at your Carolina Ford dealer, and that means
the 14-yard run by Warwick Dunn, an 11-play drive. 10 of the 11 plays on the ground. The lone pass Dan Kendra attempted was incomplete. He also threw one other ball, but a defensive holding call wiped out the play. Sean Liss's opening kickoff went out of bounds. Looking for a better effort here, and gets this one in the direction of Miles Savage, who will take it at his 8-yard line. Savage, with not much in front of him, trying to get to the corner, is hit well out of bounds at the 25-yard line. Sean Hamlet led the way, along with number 26 for the Seminoles. That is Harold Battles. And it'll be a late hit call. Watch David Zadell here, number 94.
Well, he gets in again. Bates, 65, keeps his feet going. See, on offense, stalemate wins for the offensive player if you just keep your feet going. Of course, good backs will find daylight, as in the case of Warrick Dunn.
An example again of why this guy is as good as there is in the country. You know, it's funny, in all the Heisman talk outside of this area, you go to other parts of the country, he doesn't get as much recognition. And that's a crime because
they look at the stats.
Yeah.
Doesn't get the carries, but if you watch his effectiveness, 6.2 a rush.
And in the big games, he's dominant. First down carry by John Lewis, and he runs right into Darrell Bush after picking up maybe a yard on the play. Brian Cooklick, the redshirt sophomore who has come back from a broken arm and has really had a good year, with the exception of the interceptions. And when you talk to the Wake Forest people, it's really from Brian trying to do too much because he's so hard on himself and so eager to make a big play. Nearly fumbled the snap, got it out to Jamie Deese, who broke a couple of tackles, and Deese is able to fight forward for a couple of yards. Henry Crockett is there. Deese, the redshirt freshman out of Laurinburg, North Carolina. This Wake Forest team extremely young, with probably 2/3 of their players who are active in the ball game, Doc, being either freshmen or sophomores.
20 of the 23 a year ago were redshirted. This is a young group that's simply trying to get some positive plays. We go back to the Northwestern game. This is what they've got to get going.
On 3rd and 6, it's a draw play. And they'll pick up the first down. The draw play to Herman Lewis. Darrell Bush on the stop, but good play call by Jan Corliss, taking advantage of that defensive rush of Florida State to run the draw play.
Well, when you got defensive ends that get upfield like Wilson and Boulware, this is a commonly called play. The key to it was the cut back inside. That was outstanding. Again, Wake, it's a series of first downs. Make some things happen that are positive for you. Good at the point of attack by the left side of that offensive line.
Yeah, good block by Jeff Flo, the left tackle. Wake Forest in Florida State territory. Cooklick the quick out, way over the head of Jamie Deese. It almost appears, Doc, right now, Cooklick so aware of that Florida State pressure that he's hurrying everything he's doing.
Yeah, he is. I mean, his internal clock is a little faster than reality would have it. But he's got to hit a play like that. When you play the Seminoles, you can ill afford to miss plays. He's already missed a touchdown, and that'll kill you.
2nd and 10, ball at the 48 of the Seminoles. Cooklick changed the play, now gives it to Herman Lewis. Lewis trying to get outside. The great pursuit of the Noles stops him right at the line of scrimmage. James Colsey came up quickly along with Vernon Crawford.
How they get off of blocks is just outstanding. And you watch the point of attack once again, and it's just, well, of course, great coaching, great athletes and guys with desire. They want to make big plays. There you see Renard Wilson just get off the block, still get a factor on the play. Vernon Crawford, 47, wouldn't let him go. And look at the pursuit. There's 5 Noles at the point.
Rather than James Colsey, give credit to Samari Roll for being involved in that. The quick screen outside and room for Desmond Howard, but Desmond Clark, excuse me, but he's going to be a couple of yards shy as Shevin Smith got him at the Florida State 40. It'll be a 4th and 2.
Still good play. I mean, you want to get people outside to make blocks for you. Think Wolverton, 76, got a shot at it. We see this play often against good football teams. You run a spot, we used to call it flash and lightning, and right at the end, you're so close to it. I mean, you have to stay aggressive on offense to have a shot against the Noles.
And I admire this decision by Jim Caldwell, even though it's early in the ball game. He's going to go for it here on 4th down. You're really in a no-lose situation against Florida State for Wake Forest. And now they're forced to call timeout as the huddle clock was down to just 2 seconds.
That hurts you. Timeouts, advantage goes to defense. You want to get up to the line of scrimmage, snap the ball, and run the play.
Well, next week, our ACC Exxon Game of the Week will take place at Death Valley as the Clemson Tigers will host the Wolfpack of North Carolina State. 12 o'clock kickoff. Check your local listings for the station in your area. NC State in action this afternoon against the Duke Blue
Yeah,
Devils,
Duke.
while Clemson is in Charlottesville to tangle with the Virginia Cavaliers.
Well, that's an awesome football game. It's like have things smoking in Death Valley. They beat up on Maryland last week, and talking with a lot of Maryland staff, just really impressed with their defensive pressure. They say those kids are really coming on. It's increasingly difficult to play in Death Valley. Coach Bob trying to get things worked up.
Now Bobby, of course, has his veteran defensive coordinator Mickey Andrews to take care of things on that side of the ball.
And that wild man, Chuck Amanto. I feel Chuck, man. I can't see kids coming back saying to Chuck that they didn't get the job done. He's going to get the best effort out of it.
Well, now they are set up to attempt a field goal from Matt Burdick, but it's a fake, and they've got a man open, but it's broken up. The pass floating in the air, hung up long enough for the defense to get over, and William Clark never got to the football, and Florida State will take over at its own 40-yard line. Desmond Clark with a pretty good pass, it just hung up in the air too long.
Well, our last situation when we did a weight game, they had an opportunity to score on a similar play. I mean, you think, can you trick somebody on this? The ball had too much loft. I mean, if it's there, you've got an open receiver, ball's inside. He doesn't have a chance, and it's justified. There's contact. Question is, was the ball catchable? Well, he didn't have a chance at it.
Florida State will take over. So when they run a little quick out, they might have had better luck. On first down, the running back runs right into Altamont Joyner, and Brock Preston got very little on the play.
So Jack, going back to that, you make a great point. If you got a 4th and 1, 4th and 2, you don't necessarily need to score. It'd be nice just to move the chains.
But I'm sure that play is designed to be run as a go route.
But you always, in some cases, you'd have a safety valve. If that guy's covered, there ought to be somebody that leaks out on the side. I'm sure they haven't, but getting the kids to do it is another thing.
2nd and long. They give it to Preston again, and this time much more running room as he gets it out close to first down territory. Jeff Myers is there, along with Dustin Lyman, the linebacker. Preston will be about a foot shy of the first down.
Yeah, Preston's only averaging about 9 yards a crack. See, good contact. Pooh Bear Williams off to a great start. That offensive line, real athletic. Walter Jones, Marcus Long, Kevin Long, Bates, and Foreman.
3rd and inches, and Kendra himself will burrow forward and probably has the first down. It may require a measurement to be official, but they needed very little to pick up first down yardage.
We were talking about the intensity that it takes to maintain for a good football team. Todd Fordham on the prior play was just trying to maul people on the line. And I watched that in offensive linemen. Guys who finish blocks, get off the ground, try to get another block. And that's really a trait of this Seminole offensive line. They are awful aggressive.
Now, where they spotted the ball, Doc, he's not going to make it by very much if he makes that first down.
Don't forget the post-game party and award ceremony at Church Street Station following today's game. Tickets are on sale now for only $9.
Half a football, but that's all they needed.
First down, Florida State.
Florida State has officially run 14 plays from scrimmage, 13 of them on the ground. Wayne Messam comes into the ball game with a play as E.G. Green checks out. Well, I would think, Doc, they're trying to settle Kendra down before they throw a lot of passes into the mix.
Yeah, they'd also like to, I mean, good football teams would like to have the ability to come out and maul people. And if they've got better personnel, they ought to get it done. But Wake is responding.
They got the end around with Peter Warwick. Jeff Myers will run him out of bounds at the 40-yard line, a gain of 9 for Warwick, the redshirt freshman out of Southeast High School in Bradenton, Florida.
Another sprinter. He'll get back in the huddle and ask Wayne Messam to give him some help. 89. This is, again, if you can get the inside backer to cheat a little bit and not stay at home, this is what happens. Zudell bit on it, and that's what you get. 9 yards, nice gain on that. You're looking for the home run, but Wayne Messam didn't help him much on the outside.
If you're just joining us, Andre Cooper, the starting wideout, got hurt in pregame warmups. Pooh Bear Williams bangs down to the 34-yard line in the arms of Dustin Lyman, but it's another Florida State first down. Andre Cooper slipped during pregame drills, and the concern is that he might have done some damage to his knee that will require further evaluation. The only hopeful thing for Florida State, their depth at wide receiver, Doc, and the fact that the big game with Florida State is still, or with Florida, is still 3 weeks away.
So, you know, even if you were to go in and have it, they talked about possible cartilage damage, slight cartilage damage, but they won't know until they get in to get an MRI. But he's in street clothes.
Kendra will put it up on play action. Now whistles blow as the play will not count. See Ron Cherry's
penalty of game on the offense. 5-yard penalty. We'll replay today.
Let's go down to the sidelines and Chip Carter.
Thanks a lot, Jack. You know, you were talking about Andre Cooper, and I don't think Bobby Bowden is concerned about winning this game as he was surviving it. I talked to him on Wednesday, and he wasn't going to play a lot of his starters out here today in the first half, but they did start. Remember, he's got that November 30th game against Florida featuring number 1 and 2 in the country, and he wants to stay healthy for that one.
They also have a game against Southern Mississippi next week, way over the head of Melvin Pearsall on Kendra's attempt down the middle. And probably earlier in the year, that Southern Miss game didn't look as big on the schedule as it does now.
Southern Miss, yeah, it's a good football team. It really is. But what is happening now for Florida State, whenever you don't have your quarterback, Thad Busby can play. They'd like to keep him out of this. A bit out of sync. We've talked about the absence of Cooper. But this kid, Kendra, great running the football, strong as an ox, but he's still got to convince me that he can get that ball downfield in this offense.
2nd and 15, play action again for Kendra. Pressure's on, and he is still on his feet. Finally goes down all the way back at the 48-yard line. Florida State saw Wake Forest send just about everybody on that play. Harold Gregg and Kelvin Shackelford get credit for the sacks.
Well, good call by Coach Allen for Wake Forest. Send the dogs after him. I mean, make this kid prove he can throw on this level. And with that kind of pressure, Johnny Unitas would have a tough time completing passes. That is relentless pressure on the quarterback by the Demon Deacons.
They sent,
this kid is still going, though. He is something special. He is quite an athlete.
They sent 7 on that play. It is 3rd and a mile, 3rd and 24. Kendra again, with time, going downfield for E.G. Green, overshoots the mark. So Dan Kendra has yet to complete a pass here in the early going. D'Angelo Solomon had pretty good coverage on E.G. Green. That's Thad Busby. He's got a hairline fracture in his left wrist. Could play if he had to, but as Chip Carter mentioned, they're trying to keep a lot of these guys healthy. They also have the situation, Doc, of a young man, Marcus Outson, freshman quarterback, who they'd like to redshirt, so they hope he doesn't have to play. High kick, fair catch taken by D'Angelo Solomon, and Wake Forest will get it back at its own 15-yard line. Just over 3 minutes to play here in the first period. Florida State has the lead at the Citrus Bowl in Orlando. Points to Florida State, but they have made a number of big plays already in the football game. The Deacon offense will get it at its own 15-yard line on its 3rd possession of the afternoon. Morgan Kane, the lone setback. Cooklick will put it up under pressure. Little screen pass to Kane. And Lamont Green and number 58 as well for Florida State on the play. Peter Boulware got over there. But Lamont Green was the guy who made first contact.
Yeah, just incredible. Pressure at the point of attack, pressure on the side. You got linebackers running down backs. I mean, it's at times, as you mentioned, Green, great range, and they give you a bad play on first down, which is tough.
2nd, and let's call it a long 11. Cooklick again. Steps up under the pressure, and down he goes. Ball pops loose at the end of the play. The Seminoles think they have it.
This is when you're in
and they do. At the bottom of the pile, I think it's Peter Boulware. Peter Boulware comes up with the fumble recovery. Raynard Wilson, the guy who will probably get credit for the sack.
Well, again, you talk about Boulware, 13.5 sack, constant pressure. There you see the strip. And, of course, no football team needs this, but when you play Florida State, you're in poor field position. You've got to get back 3 steps, get rid of that football, protect it, or you dig your own grave.
1st and 10 inside the Wake Forest 15 for Florida State. They've been outstanding all year on converting turnovers. Warrick Dunn, who has 1 score already, leaps for number 2. Warrick Dunn makes it 13-0 Florida State.
Going over for 6 points for Florida State.
The 2-time All-American in football and track scores the 2nd touchdown of the afternoon, his 8th on the ground this year.
And again, 65, Chad Bates, outstanding pull. Good vision, great blocking on the outside. Difficult. He had to go over that with Peter Warrick. Nice block as a wide receiver.
Scott Bentley's conversion makes it 14-0. We'll take
Florida State 14.
one more look at the touchdown.
Trey Thomas in there, big Trey, 330-pounder. Boy, they get the edge on you. See Bates, that's excellent. Watch the extension. Boy, that's desire. That is desire.
44 touchdowns now in the outstanding career of Warrick Dunn. He moves farther and farther up the lists for both the Noles and the ACC in so many categories. First Union presents around the ACC. Duke is in Raleigh to tangle with NC State this afternoon. North Carolina hosting the Cardinals of Louisville. Clemson will be at Virginia a little later on. And in that ball game, another great tailback matchup. Tiki Barber, the leading ground gainer in the conference, and Raymond Priester, who has put up some big numbers in recent weeks for the Clemson Tigers. What's interesting, Doc, before the turnover set up the score, what has been a sort of surprising factor for Florida State on the year, coming into this game, they had scored only 50 points in the first quarter all year.
Yeah. And you look at how explosive this offense has been, and most teams, second quarter, 93 points. The opposition had only scored 10, so the ratio was there. And you know, you just say to yourself all week, and I'm sure Coach Caldwell has done this, don't give them anything cheap. That's what they did one play later. You got points on the board.
Well, they are actually, with that fumble turnover, just even in the plus-minus category. But what they have done, and what Jim Caldwell knew coming into this game, when Florida State turns over the ball, that doesn't necessarily turn into points for the opposition. When you turn it over to them, it almost always does.
They cash it in. Plus the emotional. I mean, this defense had played outstanding. And then you go in and you give up a fumble, the offense be it. And, you know, it just takes the wind out of your sails. It's demoralizing.
Wake Forest will try it again at its own 20-yard line. Deep handoff to Morgan Kane. Big running room for Morgan Kane. And there goes the freshman from Canada. Troy Saunders trying to catch him. He will not. 80 yards up the middle for Morgan Kane, and Wake Forest is on the board.
Well, that's the way to say, we're sorry. That's what you say to your defense. We owe you one, guys. Morgan Kane, what an explosive run. You outrun the Seminole secondary, and you are smoking.
The redshirt freshman out of Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, goes 80 yards right up the middle.
Get good block, point of attack. Jeff Lowe with that. Marsigli, that left side. And look at this. You got to think, how often will you see this in the highlights? Anybody in this country outruns that Seminole secondary.
Conversion try by Matt Burdick is good. And Florida State, feeling like they were getting into their comfort zone, finds itself shocked by the 80-yard explosion for Morgan Kane. One more look at the touchdown scamper.
Well, on the previous series, they had a bad play on first down. Well, this is a good play. It's physical. You get a run, good trap. Up on that play, that yard to Wolverton. Wolverton comes around as the tackle gets the big trap, and this is just pure speed.
Talk about intense competitors. The Wake Forest coaches were telling me that Morgan Kane, after a loss, does not talk to anybody till like Tuesday or Wednesday.
Wednesday, yeah. Man, that guy, that's intensity. Henry Crockett was trapped on that, took care of the backer. I mean, a quick play, those are the kind of plays you like to design against Florida State. Everybody tries. You are as successful as that. There's not an offensive player in America that has not had that fantasy, lying in bed the night before a game, how you just like to break one.
And that touchdown, as Doc had just got done telling you, Florida State had only given up 10 points in the first period all year long. Had a 7 spot put up there. And
well, let's not forget the first play of the game.
That's right.
You know, if they could hook up on that, it would have been 14. They had great field position. You go for it on 4th down. You know, if you get that, I mean, this has been and nobody wanted it more than we did in the broadcast booth. But Wake Forest has come out with the eye of the tiger.
It's been told that that's the 5th longest touchdown run in school history by Mr. Kane. Since he's a freshman, I got to believe he's got a few more opportunities to do that.
This young man that had contemplated not coming back next year, and he was really discouraged. Boy, that'll make you feel good.
Laveranues Coles is the return man trying to get to the corner, and he is flung out of bounds on the play by David Moore down at the 20-yard line. Back to the field, and Chip Carter with some more injury news.
Yeah, bad news again, Jack, for FSU. They lost Kamari Charlton, a second-team tight end who gets a lot of playing time. They just took him into the locker room with an airbag on his left ankle. It's a possible broken ankle. They're going to x-ray it right now.
Wow, they came into this game, as Chip mentioned earlier, trying to stay healthy, and guys are dropping all over the place. Andre Cooper, Charlton.
Yeah. You got to, I mean, you know, you can never back off in a gridiron competition. You got to go out as if you're playing for a national championship mentally as well as physically.
Dan Kendra on 1st down. We'll give it to the tailback, Rock Preston. Good penetration upfield by Robert Fatzinger, who made first contact. Major Griffey on the stop. Robert Fatzinger, the junior, number 84 out of Northampton, Pennsylvania, has a broken finger, and he has a rather interesting contraption on that right hand in order to enable him to play, but he can't grab anything with his right hand. He's got to club guys down with that hand. But he has made a difference up front since his return. Kendra still looking for his first completion. Avoids the sack again, trying to pick up first down yardage. He'll get it out to the 25-yard line. Good open field tackle by Damian Daniel, the sophomore out of Ellenboro, North Carolina, and it'll be a 3rd down situation for the Noles.
Yeah, I like this kid, Kendra. You know, he makes things happen, and he seems very, very comfortable in that. He's looking downfield. He's not one of those guys that wants to throw. Boy, if you cover his receivers, look out. Got a lot of wiggle in those hips for a big guy.
3rd down, and let's call it 6 for the Seminoles. They have been successful on 3rd down this afternoon, but they've all been on the ground. This is really almost passing yardage. And now I think we're going to get a delay of game call. That's another problem for a young quarterback. The Noles taking longer to get things set up, and the penalty will back them up into a 3rd indefinitely long.
Well, they're the masters, and Coach Bowden, he's a master of up-tempo offense. But again, that has a lot to do with a veteran signal caller. And we watched Thad Busby go through his growing pains and getting developed. And boy, around that time of playing Miami at UVA, he was hot. You know, and as he's hot, they're just very difficult to play against. And now getting going through a few of those pains.
4th penalty on Florida State. They're the most penalized team in the conference. Kendra with time down the middle of the field. Good catch by E.G. Green. They would have called interference on Tom Stetzer, but Green, with great body position, came down with the football anyway. It's a 25-yard gain and a Florida State 1st down.
lot of the Wake fans were thinking, what about our fake pass?
College football, it is a 15-yard penalty, so certainly they would decline that anyway as the completion. That's the end of the first quarter. Florida State leading Wake Forest here in Orlando.
It's here.
Florida State with a 14-7 lead. Rick Walker, Chip Carter, and yours truly, Jack Corrigan. Glad you could join us for the Exxon ACC Game of the Week. Florida State on the first completion of the ball game for freshman quarterback Dan Kendra has the football at its own 45-yard line.
Danny has a strong arm, as evident on that throw.
On first down, they give it to Rock Preston. No, play fake by Kendra, and a good one. Gets it out in the flat to Green, and E.G. takes it into Wake Forest territory and then took a heck of a pop at the end of the play from John Mannon and David Zadell.
Well, that was a tattoo. Talk about the ball action. If you can catch my partner, well, that means you are good. Didn't fake the camera crew out, thank goodness. And there he shows you he's got a little touch on the short pass, which pretty obvious right now that Dan Kendra is starting to settle into the flow of this. You know, the tough part, Jack, as you well know, when you're a starter in high school, you play every game, you come through, you got a red shirt, then you start playing, you know, sporadic play. It's tough.
Green hobbled off a little bit after the play, but appears to be okay. First and 10 for the Noles in Wake territory at the 43. Kendra will put it up for the third straight time. Looking down for old Pete Warwick, and on the bounce, Warwick has it. Touchdown! What a play by Peter Warwick. Got the chance to play with the pregame injury to Andre Cooper, and Peter Warwick out-dueled D'Angelo Solomon for the football.
Another great play-action fake. Kendra throws the rope. I mean, that's a missile. It goes up. Watch the tip drill. This is reaction. You go through it every day as a receiver. Tremendous athletic ability. Stays with it. Touchdown, Seminoles.
Scott Bentley adds the conversion. And Florida State again kicks its lead out to 14 as Dan Kendra gets his fourth touchdown pass of the season.
Well, when you have that running game, it creates awesome opportunities for play-action passes. This is just, I want it. I want it more than you do on that one. Good balance. Again, D'Angelo Solomon is an excellent athlete in his own right. That's good work.
Pete Warwick gets his third touchdown of the year. Let's take a look at our Mazda first quarter stats. And you can see the numbers pretty close to even thanks to the 80-yard touchdown run by Morgan Kane, but the turnover that led to one Florida State score and the big drive here to start the second quarter by the Seminoles makes it a 21-7 football game. 42 yards officially on the touchdown toss to Peter Warwick. Of course, the Florida State team is dominated by Floridians, but not a lot of guys from the Central Florida area. They tend to have a lot more from the West Coast and down south. Warwick not that far away. Bradenton. Sean List with the kickoff. And it will send Jamie Deese into the end zone for the touchback. Wake Forest will start on their own 20.
Be brought out to the 20. Now the Aviation has access to over 100 jets.
The thing now for Wake is to simply to be able to overcome that thrust, a bad play, not to get discouraged, because Florida State will give you a sack, a recover, a fumble, a touchdown, and put you away 21 points before you can blink your eye. Now this offense has got to get back and remember the 80-yard drive they had.
80 yards in one play on the run by Morgan Kane. He's the deep man in the backfield. He'll get the call again, and this time he'll lose yardage. That was actually Herman Lewis, who was wrapped up by Greg Spires and Julian Pittman. You see Pittman right there, big number 95, the junior out of Niceville, Florida. I bet he's not nice when he's lined up alongside of you.
Oh, no.
On the line of scrimmage.
17-yard line.
Well, when you're 280, you know, you can be just about from anywhere you want to be from.
Second and long for the Deeks. Cooklick trying to roll to avoid some of the pressure, gets it off, and it was nearly caught and nearly intercepted. James Colsey defending against Desmond Clark. Darrell Bush was the guy who put the pressure on Brian Cooklick.
Good idea to try to get outside of that pass rush. And again, you don't have a lot of time, and I'd like to see, you know, Desmond Clark get involved in this ball game. He's capable of making plays, but when you get hit like that by Darrell Bush, oh man. Butkus Award semi-finalist the past couple of years, 230 pounds, rock solid, and will knock you out.
And he's one of the local guys from Aldermont Springs right here in the Orlando area. Showing blitz, pressure on. They tried to run a screen, but Herman Lewis, the target, never got out to the screen, and Peter Boulware and Raynard Wilson just leveled Brian Cooklick.
This is what they do. I remember in the old days in Washington, Dexter Manley and Charles Mann, those guys would say, "I'll meet you at the quarterback." And when you have two outstanding ends, this is what it looks like. It's an ugly picture if you're the quarterback, but defensive ends across the country, this is what you aspire to be like. Get there with that pat-pat.
Now, Herman Lewis had the whiff on Boulware, and that was part of the problem. Chip Moore to punt inside his 5-yard line with Dee Feaster the setback. Here comes the rush. He gets it away. Feaster calls for the fair catch at his own 47-yard line, and then a flag comes in late. Did they say that D'Angelo Solomon didn't give him enough room? The official who threw the flag was right in front of the Wake Forest bench. If that's the call, it's not going to please Jim Caldwell.
There's no flag on the field.
No flag on the play, waved off.
First down and 10.
So Florida State will have the ball just beyond its own 47-yard line with 13:20 to play here in the first half. We'll step away and come back to the Citrus Bowl in Orlando. Florida, they are playing out of the state of Florida only twice all year. They played at NC State in September and at Georgia Tech last weekend. They have a road game with Maryland in Fort Lauderdale in 2 weeks. On first down, Warwick Dunn, who has 2 touchdowns on the day, takes it into Wake Forest territory. Dustin Lyman knocks him down at the 45. You can see what Florida State has done in the second quarter this year, and it has been in all sorts of ways, Doc. Special teams, defense, offense. 100 points in a quarter through 7 ball games is pretty darn impressive.
Yeah, it is, and you make a great point. It's a combination of all 3 facets of the football team that gives you that field position.
Kendra with the deep drop. Now will gun the ball. What a catch by E.G. Green down near the 30-yard line. The junior out of Fort Walton Beach, fully extended to come down with that one.
39.5-inch vertical jump, as it appears is a prerequisite for all their wide receivers. Kendra here decides to run. Again, he's not a guy that really wants to run. He wants to throw. Stick 'em, baby. That is stick 'em right on those fingers. Fred Biletnikoff, that's only fitting.
That's right.
Florida Seminole and great with the Raiders. Guy used to wear all those stick 'em, which you can no longer do, but you'd see Freddie. I don't think he needed it because the guy could catch a BB in the dark. I mean, he had.
See, I don't know if I
hands.
can play now. I had that stuff all over me.
Stick, well, yeah. Well, everybody did. It was the era. You put it on the
First time
socks.
you fall down, you come back up, it looks like you're wearing a grass uniform.
Right, grass all over you, yeah. Those were the good old days. DBs didn't like it.
Kendra has completed 3 in a row now, gives it to Warwick Dunn on the deep handoff. Dunn with that great balance is able to bounce off tacklers down to the 26-yard line. Harold Gregg and company there to stop Warwick Dunn, who is trying to tack on his 20th 100-yard game in his career, if he can do it this afternoon.
I just love a great short run when it involves making a lot of people miss. Again, that offensive line, big Trey Thomas on the right side, Bates 65, Here's a guy not real big in stature, 185 pounds, but constantly wiggling and moving himself upfield. Offensive line guys staying on their block. Marcus Long, 78. Good example of that.
Back in live action this time, Harold Robbins had good penetration on the play. And Dunn ends up losing several yards, and it'll make it a third down situation for Florida State. How about that score? It drew a big roar from the crowd here in Orlando, with Vanderbilt getting the early field goal against the Gators, and Duke has the early lead in Raleigh against NC State.
This one could have very well been 7-0 Wake early on.
4 out of 5 on third down for the Noles. They have third down here. Kendra out of the gun, an all-out blitz. Defensive back slipped and fell, and E.G. Green was wide open. First and goal, Florida State. Reggie Austin slipped by the time he recovered. E.G. Green had the football and was heading towards pay dirt.
Well, that's a scary feeling. We've had a couple of slips. We mentioned Andre Cooper slipped, hurt his knee in pregame warm-up. Good pass pro. Kendra with the rifle shot. See, if you go down on this, like Chevis goes down, and once you do that, you're in big trouble against E.G. Green.
First and goal for the Noles, trying to increase a 14-point advantage. Kendra checking off. And gives it to Warwick Dunn. Cut down on a diving stop by Dustin Lyman and Mark Makovic. Dunn got it down to the 4-yard line, where it'll be second and goal.
Well, Dustin Lyman gave up his body on that one. I don't even know if he had a chance to even see Warwick. He just felt him and threw his body in.
Wake Forest, a combination of inexperience and lack of size for the most part, has been the major problem with its defense in '96. Kendra, bootleg action. Has a man wide open. Touchdown, Melvin Pearsall. My partner's jumping up and down up here. A tight end gets a touchdown.
Hey,
first one this year.
Come on. We like that. We love those quarterbacks that'll think about the big guys inside. Well, Melvin, he will knock you out at the point of attack. Has some great blocks early on today. I am really impressed with the fakes, the ball action by Kendra. That one, open receiver, you hit him, touchdown.
Scott Bentley adds a conversion, and Florida State has its biggest lead of the afternoon. 28-7, the Seminoles on top of Wake Forest. We'll be back with more football to Orlando after this word from our local ACC station. Jack Corrigan, Rick Walker, and Chip Carter. Florida State with a 28-7 lead. A couple of touchdown tosses from Dan Kendra to complement 2 touchdown runs by Warwick Dunn. Sean Liss kicks off for the 5th time already in this game. Angelo Solomon trying to get to the sideline. Has run out near his 24-yard line. Vernon Crawford is there to lead the way for Florida State. Dan Kendra, the redshirt freshman quarterback, began the afternoon by missing on his first 3 passes. He has since completed 6 in a row. 2 of them for touchdowns, and he has gotten it going in his first collegiate start.
Well, that was the only question I had about his game. He answered it in a hurry.
First and 10. Cooklick gives the ball to the tailback. Morgan Kane again at an 80-yarder on a similar play. Has to settle for 7 this time, as Robert Hammond, the junior out of Opelousas, Louisiana, was there on the hit for the Seminoles.
Well, let's get you started when you can get a good play on first down. Clark with a nice down block. Look at the gaping hole. I mean, that's nice, and I'd like to take a shot at that one.
Pretty good block by Wande Shaw and Lamont Green as well. Second and short for the Demon Deacons. Kane again trying to bounce outside, and Demetro Stevens, the middle linebacker, recognized and attacked, then dropped him for a loss. go down to the field for another injury update on Florida State with Chip Carter.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jack. Bowden's piling up plenty of points, but he's also piling up plenty of injuries. Now his fullback, number 22, Pooh Bear Williams, has a brace on his right knee. It's slightly sprained. He's going to try and walk it off. May play again this afternoon. Right now he's taking it almost minute by minute, Jack.
And Chip, we can't get a number at the moment, but there is another Florida State player down on the field right now, and it might be Peter Boulware.
Yeah. Appeared to be in. You hate to predict these. There's a dislocated pain, which I think we've all had. You know, when
excuse me, Doc. It's 18 Sean Hamlet rather than 58 Peter Boulware.
Okay.
Hamlet, the free safety, the senior out of Hampton, Virginia.
You dislocate those fingers, and it hurt so much for a moment, and he had both legs moving. Looked like he was really kicking his legs.
Sean Hamlet taken up on the play.
Florida State will play at Doak Campbell in Tallahassee against Southern Miss next week. They'll have that road game with Maryland at Joe Robbie down in Fort Lauderdale, and then finish in Tallahassee in the battle with arch rival Florida on the last Saturday of November.
Here's Mr. Boulware with those guns. These guys, Southern Miss, good ball game. I mean, every time anybody who plays Florida State, I mean, University of Maryland has targeted this one as, hey, a way to get a big upset and get a lot of recognition for your program. Florida, of course, the big one. So there are no gimmies when you have a bullseye on your jersey like the Florida State Seminoles do.
Try and get an update on the situation with Sean Hamlet, who walked off under his own power. Might have just had the wind knocked out of him.
Yeah. Hampton High Crabber. Boy, those kids play some football in that neck of the woods.
3rd and 5 situation. Cooklick trying to beat the pressure. Got it off on the screen to his tight end, William Clark. Clark breaks the tackle and is into Florida State territory, run out of bounds at the 45-yard line. Brian Cooklick, running for his life, waited just long enough to find William Clark, and the tight end got it into Florida State territory.
Well, that took the courage of a lion, as you mentioned, just to hang in. Boulware is almost there. That took patience. He couldn't get back. Crockett couldn't get to him. Nice blocks downfield, and wide receivers getting involved in that. Clark and Davis. Good move by a rather intelligent young man, another tight end.
Terrace Clark with a good block for William Clark to get him into Florida State territory. On 1st down, deep handoff to Herman Lewis, tried to step his way forward. Might have got back to the line of scrimmage. Demetro Stevens, the middle linebacker, the sophomore out of Sandersville, Georgia, had great penetration again.
Okay, on the play.
One of those rare individuals at 235 pounds that can run with running backs and will knock you out. A combination that, again, a prerequisite if you're going to play linebacker at Florida State.
2nd and 10.
Florida State has had a tradition of not necessarily having the biggest linebackers, but having extremely quick LBs who could really hit.
And bench 450.
Cooklick, quick outlet pass to Tabidi Davis, and Dexter Jackson was there almost as soon as the football to limit it to just a yard or two on the play.
Oh, Dexter, former quarterback. One of those guys, again, a 4'4" guy who is rather aggressive. You don't see a lot of old quarterbacks that make the move to defense and come back and they will hit you. This guy has great range, super closing speed. That's an example there.
Well, Mickey Andrews, a veteran defensive coordinator, his area of specialty is the secondary, and boy, there have been just so many great defensive backs in the history of Florida State football, particularly in the Bobby Bowden era.
Yeah.
On 3rd and long, the quick out, and John Lewis had the football but couldn't catch it over his shoulder, and it'll be 4th down. He might not have gotten the 1st down yardage with Vernon Crawford trying to run him down, but he was trying to get to the sticks before he secured the football.
I don't know. I like that. A 235-pound guy, if he can lower his shoulders, that would have been quite a collision.
Smith Moore in punt formation for Wake Forest.
But it forces Wake Forest to give up the football. Trip Moore will come on and kick it towards Dee Feaster. High kick. Feaster, who has spare caught 2 already, handles that one down at around his 12-yard line, and That's where Florida State will put it in play with just over 7 minutes to play here in the first half. The Noles are in control. Florida State with its worst field position to start a drive. They've been averaging out of their own 45. This time inside their 15. A little inside handoff to Rock Preston. He'll take it over the 20 to about the 21-yard line. Major Griffey is there, along with Kelvin Shackelford. Rock Preston, the junior out of Hialeah Senior High School down in Miami. What a combination he and Warwick Dunn make at the tailback spot. It'll be Preston's job himself next year. He averages over 9 yards a carry.
That's crazy. Don't forget, Dee Feaster a little later on. I'm sure we'll see him. He's another young man with Warwick Dunn-like abilities.
Kendra will put it up on second down. Little pass out into the flat to Preston. Puts a move on, but can't get away from David Zadell, the Demon back. And the gain is minimal. Zadell, the junior out of Cohasset, Massachusetts, broke down nicely in the open field. Back to the field and Chip Carter.
Thanks a lot, Jack. The update right now on Sean Hamlet, the free safety, had a neck burner that temporarily froze up his right arm. He says he will be back in the game. He's just kind of walking it off. And some good news with tight end Kamari Charlton. His ankle is not broken. It's just a severe sprain.
Thank goodness for that.
Really. Third down, Kendra on the roll. Now flushed out of the pocket with lots of room to run. Kendra, first down yardage over the 30. Robert Fatzinger on the stop, but he's got the size and the speed to be dangerous when he scrambles.
Give me the quarterbacks that don't slide. Here's a guy that looks for somebody to run over. Again, though, he wants to get it downfield. You take away his options, he tucks that ball. Now watch it, this is when it gets fun. Some guys slide, this guy lowers his shoulders and dishes out a little punishment.
Not to put a label on a young man early, and he's not quite the same physical dimensions, but he's a John Elway type back there. As dangerous running the ball as he is throwing it, because he's not a timid runner.
Not at all. I'm sure they'll kind of temper that a bit later on. Right now it's fun.
Good sideline route to Peter Warwick.
That's complete to Pete
another
Warwick.
Florida State first down. D'Angelo Solomon on the hit. Warwick, the youngster, getting the chance to play and making the most of it. He came into the ball game with 9 catches on the season. That's his 3rd on the afternoon, including the touchdown reception.
Hey, what, Wake's done a pretty good job so far for keeping things in front of them. Underneath, the pass rush has been more than active. When they get close, though, they've got to get some sacks. They can ill afford to let this kid get out of the pocket.
The Wake defense has been out on the field a great deal in this first half. Kendra with lots of time, guns it too high. This time, Wayne Messam thought he should have had it. Jeff Myers on the hit.
The linebacker, Moses, he had a great drop on that. He was close. Those tip balls, when you're playing Florida State, you've got to get those. You've got to find a way to create your own fortune. See, here's the collision. And see, that ball's up for grabs, and you can't get to it. And sooner or later, they'll make you pay for it.
That miss ended a string of 8 in a row for Kendra. He faces a 2nd and 10 here. Pressure on. Flag goes down, and Kendra will go down in the arms of Kelvin Shackelford back near the 30-yard line. We had a holding call, I think, to start it off, and then Shackelford came through and made the big play. Wake will obviously decline the holding penalty. Kelvin Shackelford, another one of the young players, a redshirt freshman out of Farmville, North Carolina, gets his 2nd sack of the season.
On the offense, that penalty is refused. The 3rd down.
That was big. Kelvin, you mentioned the fatigue factor for Wake had been on the field a lot. But when they have to rear it down, I mean, they come after you. And that's just a great one-on-one pass rush by Kelvin Shackelford once again in the secondary, getting it done, because that's some pretty good coverage downfield.
3rd and 23 situation here for Kendra, the freshman out of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. His dad played linebacker at West Virginia for Bobby Bowden. They set up a screen, and they have some running room. First down and more for Lamar Glenn. Lamar Glenn has a first down. D'Angelo Solomon on the stop, but Glenn, the sophomore out of Daytona Beach, makes his first reception of the season, a big one for the Seminoles.
We can't emphasize enough about the patience it requires to set up a good screen. He was nearly sacked on this. He waits, he gets a great block on the outside by Messam, the wide receiver. And as you mentioned, if it's your first catch, you got to play. Oh boy, we're back.
I think
still good play. Still a good play by wide receiver Wayne Messam.
With holding,
I think he was the guilty party.
That's a 10-yard penalty. We still have third down.
Well, I like the effort. You don't get a lot of wide outs that'll stick their face mask in and go after people. That time Wayne Messam did. Might have overdone it, but boy, the effort was neat.
Bobby Bowden's team, as we said earlier, the most penalized team in the conference. You worry about those kinds of mistakes in big ball games. Now it's 3rd and 29, the penalty from the spot of the foul, so they only lost 6 or 7 yards on the penalty. Kendra looking deep down the middle for E.G. Green, and they've got the first down. Had all kinds of time. E.G. Green in front of Tom Stetzer moves the sticks forward on a 31-yard completion.
Yeah, Tom is frustrated by it, but I mean, there's not much you can do if you don't get a lot of pressure on the quarterback. Kendra there in the straight drop back. He's eyeballing him, so you got a chance as a secondary guy to break on the football a little better because he gave all indications of where he was going.
Kendra's 9th completion of the afternoon. 163 yards unofficially. Lots of time again. Good coverage downfield. Kendra trying to scramble for something to go now. Going deep downfield. Wayne Messam in front of Rock Preston makes the catch. No, they say he didn't catch it. Jeff Myers down there. Apparently Messam didn't have control of the football when he hit the turf. I'll tell you what, if he lets it go, Rock Preston might have a touchdown.
I know it. Oh, Kendra really feeling good about things now. This is confidence. You start to know, hey, this is my ball game. You're going to try to create some big plays. Let's watch it. There's a catch. Must have bounced. Must have bounced and put it back in his hands. Let's check this angle out. Again, the leap, the extension. Yep, ball's down. Great call by the guys in stripes.
That was another John Elway-like play for Mr. Kendra.
He's feeling it. He is feeling it.
Just over 3 minutes to play. Deep handoff. Rock Preston bounces off a couple of tackles and lunges to the 40-yard line to pick up about 4. Jeff Myers on the hit. It'll leave the Noles with a 3rd and 6 situation.
This offense, I mean, they've got young men that they don't blink at 3rd and 31. No big thing.
In the second quarter,
they have
Purdue 3, Michigan nothing.
Ground out nearly 300 yards of offense here in the first half. They lead 28-7, and they're looking for more with 2:25 coming up right now on the clock here in the first half. Kendra, the throw again. Deep down the middle, and it's blocked by Peter Warren. He bounced away from Dustin Lyman and then didn't hang on to the football.
Yeah, Dustin did a real good job. You want to try to get your hands on these receivers, kind of throw them off course. And again, boy, that wall, that Seminole line up front is doing its job. He didn't quite get the handles on it.
Sean List punting for the first time today, and he nails it. And it will carry into the end zone.
Punt goes into the end zone.
44-yard punt by Sean List, who was averaging just about that on the year. Wake Forest will get it back with 2:11 and 2 timeouts remaining. Well, what do we have coming up here at halftime in Orlando? Well, Chip Carter has our update.
Thanks a lot, Jack. You think we've had a good first 2 quarters. Wait to see what we've got coming up at halftime. The usual fare, including the play of the game, the player of the week, and of course, you and the doc have the halftime highlights and stats. You got to see the numbers of this one, I know.
They will be big, no question. 1st and 10 for Wake Forest. Their touchdown came on a big play, an 80-yard run by Morgan Kane. who gets the football here, breaks one tackle, but there are 4 more Seminoles in the area. Jerry Johnson and Henry Crockett drop them for a loss of 5 on the play.
Spain and Wadsworth, the 2 outstanding tackles for FSU, have been nicked up a bit, and Johnson and Pittman have come in and just played real well for him.
That's Jerry Johnson, number 92, a big freshman out of Fort Pierce, Florida. One back set for Kuklik, looking for the quick out to Desmond Clark, and he is hit immediately by Troy Saunders. Flag at the end of the play. I think we're going to get a late hit on Brian Kuklik, who has taken an awful lot of punishment, and I think they're going to call Julian Pittman for a little love tap well after the ball was away.
That's a show of affection. Those big guys, they try so hard to get there.
On the defense.
When they do, whether or not the ball is released for some of them doesn't matter. Julian Pittman, 280-pound junior. We watch this, not a great play action fake on him, but he gets the ball out. And then right at the end, see, at that point, you know, the ragdoll move was unnecessary.
5th penalty against FSU here in the first half. Gives Wake a first down at its own 36. Kuklik buys some time, lets it fly down the sidelines, and it is almost picked off. Trying to hit Jamie Deese and Mario Edwards, the sophomore from Pascagoula, Mississippi, had good coverage, and some of the Knoll fans thought there should have been offensive interference.
Well, Edwards made a great reaction to the football. You'd like to see your receivers come back with that way, but you watch the pressure. Again, Renard Wilson, we've talked about these ends. These guys, you block them, they're back in your face. Now watch it at the end. The ball inside, tough to get to.
2nd and 10, Florida State with lots of people up on the line of scrimmage, and Morgan Keane had no place to go and can't even get back to the line of scrimmage. Julian Pittman knifing through, drops him for a loss of a couple.
Well, you know, when you watch defensive linemen, if he jumps off sides and gets a roughing, they'll usually come back and have a good play because they don't want to go on that sidelines, you know, and again, face those coaches. Big Mick over the sideline going, what in the world were you doing out there?
3rd down situation for the Deeks. And that means more pressure in the face of Brian Kuklik. Send a couple of backers. Kuklik from behind will go down. Peter Boulware took the wide angle rush and picks up another sack. He leads the conference, could well lead the country in that category with more than 14 sacks on the season.
Be the most awesome defender in America. 4'5", 40. Here's a kid who benches over 400 pounds, 255 pounds. I just don't know. What's the negative?
And with 27 seconds left in the half, Florida State called a timeout because they feel they'll get decent field position after the punt. Peter, from an outstanding athletic family. I remember his brother Raleigh Boulware played at Georgia Tech, had a sister that played athletically at Notre Dame.
Yeah, tennis player at Notre Dame. I mean, this kid's 6'5", he's 255, he comes on the edge. Jeff Flowe's a good tackle. I mean, he's right up on his shoulder. Now watch the ability to turn. This guy's on the ground going, going for shoelaces. Anything it takes. He's just a tremendous athlete. Good work upstairs, guys. Nice camera action.
So tough for that end guy in the line, Doc, to try and cut off a speed rusher.
I mean, you know, when they take away what you have as an offensive lineman is the snap count. And when those guys can take that away from you with great anticipation, now they've evened the score. And you've always got to be cognizant of the inside move, and you're just caught.
That's why a guy like Charles Haley at less than 250 pounds can be a dominant player in the NFL.
Now, both of these young men, Renard Wilson, Peter Boulware.
Their football days are not done when they stop wearing Seminole uniforms.
Oh, no.
10 men on the line of scrimmage to pressure Trip Moore. But they instead set up the return. Feaster at his 46 fumbles the football. And that pretty much busted up the play in his efforts to get to the wall. Feaster forgot to secure the football. D'Angelo Solomon gets credit for the tackle.
They had a wall. They had a nice wall waiting for Mr. Feaster. That's tough.
Yeah, D knew he had the wall.
Oh, yeah, he wanted it. And you think about this young man with explosive abilities, you got to watch it all the way into your hands. Good recovery, and now you'll pay for it. As Wake with the rat-a-tat-tat.
16 ticks on the clock remaining here in the first half. Florida State with 2 timeouts remaining. They'll put 3 wide receivers in the ball game for Kendra in the shotgun. And Dan will put it up. But instead will go down. Harold Bragg gets the sack on what will in all likelihood be the last play of the first half. Robert Fatzinger there as well. And Florida State will head to the locker room with a 28-7 advantage. They dominated the clock and the scoreboard here in the first 30 minutes. Well on their way towards clinching at least a tie for another ACC championship crown. Chip Carter trying to find Bobby Bowden down on the field, and as soon as he does so, now he's all set with Coach Bowden. Chip.
Thanks a lot, Jack. Coach, you're winning the ball game, but you got some players who are banged up. Charlton, Cooper, Pooh Bear is hurting. I know that's got to be a concern for you.
Yeah, Cooper got hurt in pregame warm-up out for a while, and then yeah, we've lost some guys, and just hope we don't lose too many.
Quick evaluation of Dan Kendra after his first half.
I think he's played pretty well. We had a couple of catches we should have had down there a while ago, but he's doing about like I had hoped, to be honest with you.
All right, thanks, Coach. We see some starters gone in the second half. You're going to hold some guys back?
Not with that score like that. That's not healthy yet. They scored too quick a while ago.
Thanks a lot, Coach. Bobby Bowden, right now the score 28-7. His Seminoles leading at the end of the first half, but obviously you just heard him. He's not happy with that. He wants to change that when the third quarter starts. We'll be back with more on Jefferson Pilot.
Today's Exxon ACC Game of the Week is brought to you by your neighbor.
A lot of that, Doc, I would guess, dictated by how this third quarter goes score-wise.
Oh, yeah. I mean, how many of us actually thought that 28-7 would be the score at half against this Florida State football team as to how they can get after you defensively? But Wake Forest has played pretty good football and had a chance to really have put 14 or more points on the board. So this is still wide open.
Well, you could see that as you look at the veteran coach of the Seminoles, Bobby Bowden. You could see on our scoreboard at halftime, Michigan barely beating a not very good Purdue team. Ohio State just up by 7 points on a under 500 Illinois team. Matt Burdick's kickoff coming down to Lavernius Coles at the 2-yard line. Coles, the freshman out of Jacksonville, has some running room to the outside, but he is brought down by Dustin Lyman as he got to the 30-yard line. Dan Kendra in his first collegiate start, the redshirt freshman out of Bethlehem Catholic High School in Pennsylvania, enjoyed pretty good field position for much of the first half, and you see that only 2 punts in the first half for Florida State, and they did not commit a turnover. Warwick Dunn back in the ball game at tailback, and Hubert Williams is back in at fullback. Dunn trying to bounce off tacklers, but won't get back to the line of scrimmage as Aljamaat Joyner is there to make a good hit. Junior out of Waverly, Virginia. Also Kelvin Moses, the leading tackler for the Demon Deacons. Moses, the veteran sophomore, if you can have that contradiction, over 100 tackles on the season for Kelvin.
Think about Ratcliffe Thomas, the outstanding linebacker for the Maryland Terrapins, and how successful he was early in his career.
On second down, Kendra on the play action. Has time downfield, too tall, intended for Peter Warwick. Tommy Stetzer tried to come up on the ricochet. D'Angelo Solomon on the coverage. It'll be a 3rd and 11.
You know, interesting, Jack, we talked about trivia questions. Who's the strongest lower body leg strength on the Florida State Seminole team? Got to be one of those linemen, huh?
You would think, but I know the answer, but tell everybody else.
That's the quarterback, Kendra. I mean, it's incredible This kid, 1,335 pounds on the lower body with the leg press.
Draw play to Dunn. Trying to bounce outside. Got a good block from Poober Williams. Still on his feet, but he's going to end up 5 yards shy of the first down. Good pursuit by Lyman and Zadell, two of the linebackers. And Florida State will have to kick it away on a 3 and out. So Bobby Bowden's concerns going into the locker room have not dropped at all.
And we talk about, you know, the pursuit of Florida State. But Wake Forest defenders, I mean, look at them. There's 6, 7, 8, 9 black hats at the ball. That's good work.
Great kick by Sean Liss. Solomon had to let it go, but it took a good bounce for the Demon Deacons back to their 24-yard line
of Wake Forest. Where'll be first?
And that's where Wake will get the football. They have not enjoyed great field position for much of this football game. First and 10 for the Demon Deacons. Kane and Wande Shaw are the running backs behind Brian Cooklick. And Kane will get the carry and take it over the 25 for a couple. Julian Pittman, the first man to make contact. Morgan Kane had 79 yards on the ground in the first half. Of course, he had 80 of them on one run, so minus yardage otherwise. You see what Florida State has allowed on the ground per game this year, just over 75. Of course, a lot of that gets helped by all the sacks they make. They had 37 sacks coming into the ball game. Got to figure that's 350 yards.
They chew you up.
Out in the flat to Kane, trying to make a move on Henry Crockett to get the first down. He might be a couple of inches shy. Crockett, the fifth-year senior out of Pompano Beach, with a good pop on the freshman.
Yeah, that's the time when you'd like to see Morgan just lower his shoulders and get to the sticks, because you don't ever want to take it for granted against this defense. Get a nice throw and catch. See, at this point, you don't stop. You lower the shoulder and you die after that marker.
He is just a little bit shy. Henry Crockett's older brother, Zach, now playing in the NFL with the Indianapolis Colts. He probably banged around in the backyard a little bit.
Zach's a stud.
31. On 3rd and short. Florida State bunches up and they get into the neutral zone. It looked like Cooklick on the surge behind Chris Gaskell is center. Should have the first down. And he does.
First down.
Not a perturbed Bobby Bowden yet, but a little more pensive than I think he thought he was going to be in the third quarter of this football game.
Well, when you lose your starting wide receiver in pregame, I think from that point on, you are really more so into this ball game than ever expected.
Florida State looking like they've got the pressure coming, and they give it to Kane, but great penetration by Julian Pittman as he submarined through and dropped Kane in the backfield. He had a little bit of a hole on the left side, but Pittman never allowed him to get to it.
You called it. Sometimes, you know, you got to come out of the ground to get after people. Low man wins, and on this one, there was no way to get lower than Pittman. He takes out, I mean, he comes right under the guard. That's a great play. You couldn't see it. You just got to have a feel for it.
High school All-American at Niceville High School here in Florida. Big play there. 2nd and 13 after the loss by Kane. Play action this time. Peter Boulware was coming. Brian Cooklick slipped and fell before Boulware could get there. I don't know if you can credit him with a sack. He was going to get it.
Yeah, he'll get it. You know, and the other thing, there are certain guys on the football field you can't influence block. You have to block them. Because if you let 58 run upfield, you're in big trouble.
All the way back to the 25-yard line. It's a loss of 10 on the play. Actually, a loss of 7 because it was 2nd and 13. Now it's 3rd and 20. You do not want to be in 3rd and 20 against the pressure that Florida State can bring. Cooklick steps up, but couldn't get rid of it. Flag down as well. Probably had a holding call.
Penalty flag on the field.
Jerry Johnson, Vernon Crawford, the linebacker, blitzing on the play. The penalty will go against Wake Forest, and I'm sure it will be declined by the Noles. Ron Cherry tells us it's the holding call, and Wake Forest will have to punt away the football. Depending on how they ruled that slip, that if it's not a sack, the last play was the 4th sack of the ball game from Florida State. 41 sacks on the season, and this their 8th ball game. That's incredible.
What's amazing to me is that was a 3-step drop. And they had 4 people at the football.
Warwick back to receive for Florida State.
Peter Warwick back to receive the punt of Trip Moore this time, who averaged just under 34 yards a kick on 4 punts in the first half. Pretty good punt this time. Warwick at his 38-yard line avoids 1 man. Peter Warwick's got a seam. Flags fly. Warwick finally goes down at the Wake 35, but some kind of illegal block back at the Wake 44 will back the ball back on the Florida State side of the 50-yard line.
I thought Mario Edwards did a great job not to clip.
Holding call is the 7th penalty in the ball game against Florida State. 10:43 to play here in the 3rd quarter. Florida State on top, but not clicking on all cylinders here in Orlando. Florida State with a 28-7 lead under freshman quarterback Dan Kendra's leadership, and he'll put it up on 1st down. Little swing pass to Warwick Dunn, shifts into that gear that few guys have and picks up another 1st down. Moses and Joyner on the hit for Wake Forest.
Oh man, we've had the chance to watch Tiki Barber twice, and it is really amazing. You see a guy catch a nice little spot pass, and there he goes. And now it's just a matter of how many people will miss him. It's good hustle in there by Joyner.
Tell you what, Dunn and Barber are such similar athletes and people.
Yeah, great guys off the field.
Wake showing a blitz. Here they come. Kendra picks it up. Little outlet pass to Lavernius Coles. And the freshman from Jacksonville gets it down to the 33-yard line. Coles, who is an outstanding running back out of Ribault High School in Jacksonville, has been moved to wide receiver just to get him involved.
Yeah, they want him to play. So here's a guy that's smart offensively. Just put the ball in his hands. He'll make people miss. You've got to really converge defensively. There's Myers and company coming over to top it all.
Stepped right out of the tackle try of Major Griffey, 6'1", 195-pounder. Kendra now 8 yards shy of 200 on the afternoon on 12 of 19. A couple of touchdown tosses to Peter Warwick and Melvin Pearsall.
Think about when Charlie Ward was here and he was injured. Danny Cannell stepped in against Maryland. Had a big one. This is quite a system.
It's normally you wait until you're a junior to get the job officially. Kendra looking for E.G. Green, just couldn't quite get there. He had Kenyon Chavis beat on the play, but Kendra under pressure had to gun that ball a little more than he wanted to as Green was open on the flag route.
But I like if you're going to miss, miss where you don't endanger your football team. And he put it out again. Pretty good pressure up front by Wake, and you see it launched out. Put a little more air on it. That could have been a touchdown, but I like it away. Give a receiver a chance to get to it.
Of course, we're aging ourselves, Doc. I said a flag route has to be a pylon route now.
Oh, yeah, right. The old days.
The corner route.
Yeah. It's called the old Air Force corner when I was in high school.
Kendra will put it up again. Pressure on. He's been sacked a couple times. He's scrambled well. Downfield, way over the head of Ron Dugans. Stetzer and Solomon down there. Dugans, the sophomore, right out of Tallahassee, would have needed about a 9-foot extension ladder to get that one.
Yeah, nobody. Not even Cooper and Green climbed that one. Kendra, again, we talked about his lower body strength. Another one of those guys who pays attention in the weight room, strong as an ox. Just got a little too much on that one. Boy, it's going to be some time, but one of these days you can just see. You mentioned Elway, which is quite a compliment, but this kid is blessed with some incredible tools.
Good pressure by another youngster, Fred Robinson, on the pursuit of Kendra for Wake Forest defense. Draw play to Dunn, and Kelvin Moses on the blitz stepped right into it. Dunn loses a couple of yards, and Florida State will be forced to punt away the football.
Kidding me? 2 punts back to back? Hey, what, boy? Even Deacon defense. Good reaction. Lyman gets involved into it. A little tattoo shot. Kiss on the cheek by Wilbur.
Sean Liss, a 44-yarder into the end zone the last time, wants to pooch this one. And it'll take a good bounce and die at the 15-yard line. 9:19 to play here in the third quarter. Florida State has the lead, but they have been held scoreless here in the second half. This time at their own 15-yard line for Brian Cooklick, as he has faced relentless pressure. Florida State showing the blitz again, and Vernon Crawford blitzing, drops Herman Lewis in the backfield. Let's go down to the field again at Chip Carter.
Thanks a lot, Jack. You know, Wake Forest is the home team, but obviously when you look around and see all this Garnett and gold, it is a Florida State crowd. Just a great opportunity for fans to see Florida State who can't get into sold-out games up in Tallahassee. And I'm going to try and get a little popcorn from this Florida State person right here and sit back and enjoy the game for a while, guys.
She is a cutie.
Yes, she is. How about your partners up here? How about some corn upstairs, pal?
Second down, three-step drop, quick out pass through the hands of Jamie Deese, who tried to run away from Samari Roll before he caught the football. Elsewhere in the conference, NC State, they were favored to win that game at home, but I think the margin right now surprising.
Yep.
Of course, the Wolfpack had it down to a 13-point ball game early in the second half with North Carolina a week ago before the Tar Heels showed their strength and put it away.
They've got some talent. It's like everybody in the league. You make a few mistakes here or there, and you're out of it.
Another third and long for Cooklick. They run the screen to Jamie Deese. He's got some operating room, and Deese will have the first down over the 30-yard line. Jan Corliss with, again, another good call. It's one thing to run a screen, but how and to whom you run that screen is important. That was a good call by the offensive coordinator.
Well, Daryl Bush makes a pretty good job at the end, but you call it right. Where are they going with it? Good execution. And again, you're talking about making up for a drop. Deese comes back and redeems himself.
First down for the Deeks at their own 31. And if nothing else, they buy a little time. That pass to Herman Lewis, was it forward or not? And we'll see what Ron Cherry tells us. Elsewhere in the conference this afternoon, Louisville draws first blood against the Tar Heels at home in Chapel Hill. Mac Brown's club has to guard against looking ahead to that battle with Virginia in Charlottesville next week. They're going to say that was another backwards pass or a lateral, so it's a loss of 5 on the play, back to the 26.
At some point, though, Wake Forest is going to have to try to get one downfield, take a shot at a deep one.
Here they come again. Dumped out, good diving catch by Brandon Perry in front of Samari Roll. Perry, the sophomore out of Lithonia, Georgia, gets back to 5. They lost on the preceding play.
You don't have much time, but if you can try to open up the throwing lanes, good hands on that one. And now you make up for on error. You got to constantly try to pick your spots. Where do you go with the football? I like to see that little quick fade, 3-step, get it up in the air.
Florida State again with lots of people on the line of scrimmage. Man coverage, Cooklick changing the play. 3-step drop, and Perry tangled up with Byron Capers, who was playing with a broken finger. Can't get to the football, and it'll be punting time. Capers, another one of the Seminoles who got hurt in the first half, broke a finger, but is still out there.
Yeah, he's back out. I just think Desmond Clark is a guy to look to in this. He's 6'3", he's 223, going up against Colsey. It's a good matchup. You got a big guy and a little guy, and I think sooner or later they got to take a shot at that.
Trip Moore will punt the football away again. Peter Warwick back to look at this punt. Sixth punt of the afternoon for Moore, the sophomore out of Columbia. And shanks this one. Or that punt will not go more than about 12 yards on that one. Great field position again for Florida State. Advance Auto Parts is proud to be a corporate donor to the Juvenile Diabetes Foundation. Over the past 2 months, Advance Auto Parts stores throughout the southeastern region of the U.S. have raised over $600,000 to fight this disease. Today, we'd like to salute the North Bridge Street store in Elkin, North Carolina, for its efforts in this fight. Advance Auto Parts and the Juvenile Diabetes Foundation, together walking for the cure. At the 42-yard line of Wake Forest, a great opportunity for the Seminoles to increase their 28-7 lead midway through the third quarter. Dunn and Williams lined up in the eye behind Kendra, and on the play action fake, they've got a screen set up to Warrick Dunn with blockers and space in front of him. Warrick Dunn inside the 20-yard line before he is brought down by David Ziddell. But it's a pickup of about 21 on the play and another Florida State first down.
Well, you can look at the outside receivers. You're going to watch Marcus Long, number 78, come up with a skull rattler. Nice block, good patience again, nice touch on the pass. Watch 78. Yep, there's the skull rattler. I mean, that is tough. Big guy, 325 pounds, rumbling downfield. Warrick Dunn trailing, not bad.
Dunn with 2 touchdowns on the day, scoring twice for the first time this year in one ball game. Kendra downfield, E.G. Dunn, touchdown. Defense route against Major Griffey, and E.G. Green gets the touchdown. His 6th of the season. He is over 125 yards in receiving this afternoon.
Picture perfect pass protection, ball right on the numbers. Velocity, boy, this kid can do it. He's an outstanding prospect. Again, Green takes it home. All this is a result of the punt. 12-yard punt.
Scott Bentley gets his 5th conversion of the afternoon, and Florida State increases its lead to 35-7. E.G. Green, quite a story for the junior out of Fort Walton Beach, Florida. On the year now, the young man has caught 26 balls on the season. Not an extraordinary number, but what's impressive, Doc, 26 catches for more than 525 yards on the year.
Deep threat and adjusting to this offense and to these quarterbacks, catching up with him. And, they're all looking towards down the road, of course, the big game upcoming with Florida down there, and the bowl possibility. So these wide receivers have been patient, and it's all going to pay off for them.
This is the 50th year of football at Florida State University, and quite a dynasty, particularly in the last 20-plus seasons with Bobby Bowden, trying to make it 10 straight years this year with at least 10 victories, and of course that remarkable string in bowl games and top 5 finishes. Of course, the Noles under Bobby with hopes of another national championship, and this victory will keep things in line for that shot that will be contested at least pre-bowl game anyway in Tallahassee this year. If both Florida and Florida State are unbeaten for that game on November 30th. Miles Savage to make that D'Angelo Solomon. Well, that is Miles Savage who carries the ball out over the 20 to the 25-yard line. Theon Rackley, one of the outside linebackers for Florida State on the stop. Been cool by Florida standards for early November. Temperature in the mid-60s today, but still going to work hard, particularly against the number 2 or 3 team in the country, depending on which poll you look at. On first down, Cooklick on play action. Looking deep downfield for Tabidi Davis. Had it, but couldn't hang on to it as the ball and Troy Sanders came at the same time. Davis got his hands on it, but couldn't secure the football.
That's a good idea. I mean, that's what you've got to do. You've got to attack the Seminole defense, pressure him in the deep third. This is a nice shot. Just a little strong with it. Pass protection was excellent. Let's watch it. So he climbed it. Got to make those. It's a tough catch, but You got to make plays, man, to beat this group.
As you talk so often, Doc, when you play against a team like a Florida State and you're the decided underdog, every big play you have to make to stay in the ball game. Draw play to Kane, tries to bounce outside, gets a couple on the play. Julian Pittman is there again. Boy, Pittman and Jerry Johnson, the two backup tackles playing for the injured Andre Wadsworth and Cannell Spain, have done a good job, particularly Pittman, who plays a lot. He's really their third defensive tackle. He's done a great job with the penetration.
Well, most Division I, universities, if you have two tackles, they can give you plays versus the run and pass. You're doing well. They've got 4.
Brian Cooklick, who is averaging over 220 yards through the air this season, struggling in that area. Another screen pass to Clark, but this time Clark couldn't get to the wall. There was a wall of people in front of him, but they were all wearing white shirts. Chevin Smith and number 39 right there, Hank Grant, on the hit for the Seminoles.
This is weird. Clark, the tight end, gets a bump block. He's supposed to kind of hide, and he gets the block and comes up, but just couldn't get out. That was a rough way to work for a reception.
Trip Moore will come on to punt again for the Deacs. Clock ticking down to about 5 minutes to play here in the third quarter. Florida State has led it all the way in this one. Moore again with another kick off the side of his foot. Gets a more favorable bounce, but it'll go out close to midfield again, just shy of the Florida State 45-yard line. The Seminoles in control. We'll be back after this word from your local ACC station.
Another sign of your age.
Yes. Working the board on the Wake Forest sidelines. First down. Warwick Dunn gets the call and tries to get out of a tackle, but he's going to lose yardage again. But I think they're going to call Wake Forest for a little extra activity at the end of the play.
This kills you. You get an average punt, then you come in and make a great defensive play, and then you give it up. If in fact it is against Wake.
Wake is averaging just under 31 yards a punt this afternoon, and
Warwick goes off and might have jammed a finger.
Of a dead ball, personal foul on the defense. That's a 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
He is so elusive. Yeah, they're working on his left hand. You want to make sure he's down, but then somebody got a little rambunctious at the end. You see Warwick put his hand down and then got caught up in it. Not really sure where the final hit came that caused the penalty, but it gives FSU a first down at the Wake 40. They toss it to Rock Preston. Preston bounces off a couple of men for about 4. Jeff Myers and John Mannon on the hit as they continue to work on Warwick Dunn. One thing for a defensive back like Capers to have a finger problem, it's another factor with a guy like Dunn, and you can see he's hurting a little bit.
Yeah, it's the thumb, and look, it appears that they're working on the thumb or the index finger. Sometimes, you know, you can get the dislocation, hopefully not a break.
And of course, that running back has to have that thumb to be able to secure the football.
Catch it in this offense as well.
Kendra, quick out, guns for a first down. Making the catch was Lavernius Coles, his second of the afternoon. Damian Daniel on the coverage for Wake Forest.
Kendra shows you why he earned the USA Today Player of the Year awards. I mean, he's got a rocket. He really does. That one was tipped. Young man accounted for 60 touchdown passes in his high school career and 31 rushing touchdowns. That band enjoyed him. I mean, they played a lot.
On first down, Kendra from the shotgun this time will look to dump it out in the flat. Good hit in the open field on Lamar Glenn by Damian Daniel. And it'll be short yardage on the play. Glenn, the sophomore out of Daytona Beach, had a long run on a screen pass called back by a penalty. This time gets maybe a yard.
Yeah, there's a certain approach to going up and hit the fullback. That's it. Get on him quick and take that outside leg away in a hurry. Good play by Daniel.
More than 245 yards on the afternoon through the air for Dan Kendra. Under 3 minutes to go here in the third quarter. Florida State with the only score of the period. Boy, was Peter Warrick wide open. Breaks a couple of tackles. First and goal at the 5. Finally thrown down by Jeff Myers.
Made by Jeffrey Myers.
But Peter Warrick, playing for the injured Andre Cooper, has had himself quite an afternoon.
Boy, Cooper's going to think about it. He watches the film. Man, I could have had a day. And Warrick has really stepped up. Ball right on the money. I mean, chest high. He throws an easy ball to catch. And the great run. You really determine the greatness of receivers by what they do with the football after the catch.
First and goal, the I formation. Kendra wants to throw it. Little corner route through the hands of Warrick. Good break on the ball by Tom Stetzer that distracted the youngster.
Do you have a feeling that Wake was going to come out of that with that bounce and take it? Those balls, when they get in the air down that way, it's really interesting.
Well, that's what Jim Caldwell talked about at the beginning of the season in the victory over App State and Northwestern. They were not turning the ball over, and they were forcing turnovers. Here today, they've only had the one turnover, but against a terrific team like Florida State, he knew they had to come up with big plays on both sides of the ball to have any hope of springing an upset.
Yeah, he's had 3 tips, and so far, they haven't been able to get any of them.
Kendra again will put it up. Looking for Dugans. Contact in the end zone, but not a problem, says the official on the far side. D'Angelo Solomon and Tom Stetzer in the area of Ron Dugans. Third and goal. Looks like they were in a situation here. They probably could have pounded it in, but you're working on things with a 28-point lead. Let's work on the inside the 10 pass package,
which is a lot of fun for receivers. Florida State is noted for putting a jump ball up now, and Coach Jeff Bowden's group, the wide receiver coach, and Bobby waiting on it. They usually just put it up for one of those guys to get up in the air and pull it down.
Myron Jackson in at tight end replacing Charlton. That pass on the slant knocked down at the line of scrimmage as Peter Warrick tried to slant towards the end zone, and it will force the Seminoles to go for 3. The offensive line and some of the skill guys said, no, let's go for it. Yeah, let's go for it. And these guys, they want to go for it. Real deliberate on that. Great hand in the air. That time was that. Mark McAvey.
Yeah, McAvey.
The Demon back. Scott Bentley winding up his Florida State career, his most efficient season in terms of field goal accuracy. And he bangs that one home for his 10th field goal of the season and pushes the Florida State lead out to 38-7. The 22-yard field goal by Bentley puts Florida State up by 31 now. Next week on our Exxon ACC Game of the Week, we'll be in another noisy place, Death Valley in Clemson, as the Clemson Tigers host the NC State Wolfpack. NC State with a big advantage on Duke this afternoon. Clemson will be playing up in Charlottesville against top 25 Virginia a little later on this afternoon. So join us next Saturday for our Exxon ACC Game of the Week, NC State against Clemson.
I'm sure Coach O'Kane, Ted O'Kane won't mind if Georgia Tech and Virginia have to extend that to maybe overtime.
Now, the announcers for this game are selected and compensated by Jefferson Pilot Sports. This broadcast is a copyright presentation. Any use of the broadcast without the express permission of the Atlantic Coast Conference and Jefferson Pilot Sports is prohibited. Sean Liss, who kicked off for the first time in his Florida State career a week ago at Georgia Tech, has been handling all of the kickoff duties this afternoon. Lots of Central Florida Seminole fans, as Chip Carter told you. These folks can't get into sold-out Doak Campbell, so this is a great chance to see the Noles up close. Kick coming down to Jamie Deese at his 3-yard line. Deese trying to bounce it outside. You don't want to run laterally against this Florida State team, and we had a flag, probably an illegal block, and once again, Wake Forest will find itself deep in its own territory. It's always tough against a great team, but today it really seems like the field has been tilted uphill for the Deacons.
Yeah, wide receiver 80, William Merritt, trying to help out, and you really hinder your offense. You put him in a hole, and now you can expect for sure that this Florida State Seminole defense will start pinning the ears back. They'll get after you.
Well, Doc and I enjoying the view here at the Citrus Bowl in Orlando. Game brought down here by Dowdy Aviation, and you might ask why Wake Forest decided to do it. Well, they already had 6 other home games the way the schedule was this year, and they received a $1 million grant towards the construction of their new Bridger Fieldhouse, and you can't blame them for that, to improve the facilities at Grove Stadium.
Sounds good to me.
On first down, Morgan Kane slashes his way up over the 10-yard line. We'll get a couple of tough yards on the play. Raynard Wilson is there again.
Those kids like to play in front of big crowds. I don't care if your crowd, their crowd. You know, people come in the stadium, and you do get a kick out of it. But once that is completed at their place, I doubt if they'll be giving up games, because it's a good place to watch a football game.
Second and a long 8 for the Deacons. Closing minute and a half of the third quarter. Kane, no place to go again.
Kane, the ball carrier.
Lamont Green leading the surge of white-shirted defenders to drop Morgan Kane in the backfield. Just like the punt, very few times can you run laterally to any success against this team.
No, not against this club. I mean, Kane, who we know can run, does not look very fast now. It's because of his defense. You think back, Jack, how often we've watched over the years Florida State go to Nebraska, Notre Dame, and they've gone on the road, and a lot of those schools have yet to come to Tallahassee. So sometimes you do have to move your program.
On third and long, they'll go with the draw play again. John Lewis got some breathing room for Trip Moore, but he'll be a couple of yards shy of the first down. Lamont Green, who was the USA Today Defensive Player of the Year a couple of years ago, makes another hit at a Southridge High School in Miami. The draw play left the Deeks about 3 yards shy of the first down, and Trip Moore, who was at a tough third quarter with 2 short punts his last 2 times, hits a good one this time, and Warwick fumbles the football. It is still loose. Pile up at the 40-yard line, and Florida State came up with it. They'll retain possession with 11 ticks on the clock remaining here in the third quarter.
Well, he got a hold of that one. It always appears teams with the lead find a way to get balls on the ground. See, this one, I mean, you won't get better opportunities than that. It's like Jackson has a shot at it. He's real close to it.
I think Peter Warwick ended up with the football on his third grab at it. Thought it was that greased pig event at the county fair, the way that ball slipped away.
Have you ever done that?
No, I have not. Didn't have a whole lot of greased pigs in my neighborhood in the city, you know.
Well, no. Can't say I've done it either.
Kendra looking downfield, trying to hit big Melvin Pearsall, and Damian Daniel got there at the same time as the ball to break it up.
Saw a little emotion by Pearsall at the end. Tight ends don't get a lot of passing opportunities, and you treasure each and every one.
Particularly that far downfield.
Yeah, Melvin's going, oh, man. Oh, boy, it'll be 3 weeks from now before his number is called again.
He's got a touchdown pass today, his 6th catch of the year, a 4-yarder back in the first half. Big Melvin, 6'1", 250-pounder out of Lake Wales, Florida. Second down, they give it to D. Feaster, who gets his first carry of the day. Dustin Lyman on the hit on the final play of the third quarter. 15 minutes of football to play here for the Happy Knoll fans in Orlando. Their team comfortably ahead of Wake Forest. Early in the ball game, but has been totally shut down since that point. Just has not been able to find any running room against that relentless Florida State defense. The Florida State offense with good field position again at its own 40-yard line to start the fourth quarter. And Dan Kendra will put it up. Felt the pressure, got away from it, but couldn't get it to E.G. Green. Had more time than he realized after he stepped away from the pressure from Robert Fatzinger. Kendra had all kinds of time. As we look at our stats through 3 quarters, brought to you by Discus Athletics, you see the fact that Wake Forest with just 125 yards of total offense, and 80 of those came on one play.
Now it's been a clinic on defense for the Seminoles.
Seminoles forced to punt the ball away, and D'Angelo Solomon will watch it bounce into the end zone. A 59-yard kick by Sean Liss. And Wake Forest will start again at its own 20. And I talked about, Doc, last time Wake Forest started to drive, they have always been right around their 20-yard line, and Florida State's always been at least out to their 40 in this football game. And bad enough that you might have a talent differential when the field is a lot shorter. It makes it tougher.
You're trying to climb uphill. But at some point in time, I still think that number 83, Desmond Clark, has been underutilized for Wake.
Look on first down, slant pass, and gets it this time to Desmond Clark, as Nostradamus, my partner, was right on top of that prediction.
This guy's a player. I like him a lot. I really do. He's big, strong, fast. He's got it all working for him, but like any receiver, he needs a football. He needs to get a flow going, a rhythm. I mean, this guy's a horse.
He's caught over 40 balls this year for more than 500 yards. The sophomore out of Lakeland, Florida, one of a number of Sunshine State players that Jim Caldwell has brought into his program to Winston-Salem. Cooklick on the quarterback draw. Again, that great penetration up the middle. Theon Rackley is there. Julian Pittman. It seems like any time there's a play up the middle that doesn't get back to the line of scrimmage, you can look for Julian Pittman. Also got help on that one from big number 99, Larry Smith, as well.
Yeah, they just continue to add people in. And as they start to substitute guys, they tend to get bigger, stronger, and sometimes even faster.
Second and long for Cooklick. He has faced too many of those this afternoon. Desmond Clark again gets the football.
That's complete.
Trying to lean forward for a first down, and he might have it out near midfield or be just shy.
By
Sean Key, the sophomore from Hialeah, Florida, on the hit.
Well, you look for advantages in a ball game like this, and I just think this guy with his athletic ability, one-on-one, I don't know if there's anybody that can cover him without help and say that they can dominate him. So you got to give him a chance to get involved in the ball game. Nice help outside, too, by Davis.
Reminds a lot of Deacon fans of a former Wake great wide receiver, Ricky Kroll, now in the NFL.
Kroll could catch him.
Beatty Davis this time. Hog collared down after a 5-yard pickup by Samari Roll. And Samari got the worst of the tackle. Update on Warwick Dunn. We thought it was a hand problem or a thumb. It was actually, according to the note we got here, bruised ribs on that left side, but he will not come back this afternoon. Might have been pulling on the arm to.
Well, he's better
than the pain. Yeah.
He's better with a bruised rib. You can put a flap jacket on that, as long as it's not cartilage damage, and get him back in. Florida State just looked like they just brought a whole new 11 guys on the field.
2nd and 5 after the completion to Davis. This time, Jamie Reese, Shevin Smith, and Byron Capers there, and it's a loss of 3 on the play. More on the Warwick Dunn situation with Chip Carter. Chip.
Thanks a lot, Jack. Warren Dunn is done for the rest of the afternoon. Not only did he rip part of the fingernail off on his left hand, but he also has some severely bruised ribs on his left side. He will not play the rest of the day.
Well, we were right then, Chip. He did have a little bit of a hand problem, but that's not a serious issue. But then what, you get a nail pulled off. Boy, does that hurt. Oh, does that hurt.
I don't care how much weight you lift in the weight room. You pull one of those bad boys back.
You're a little kid.
You're better, worse than that.
Slant. Deese, nice catch in front of Samari Roll. And Brian Cooklick, standing tall against the pressure, moves the chains ahead.
Well, I mean, it's just the way you counter a pass rush. You get back quick and let it go. Use your outside receivers. Wake is shown they can throw the football with anybody. But you do have to get those little various pass plays and give you a chance.
Well, it has been an under 500 year again for Wake. They have been pleased with the work of their sophomore quarterback. This guy's a keeper.
Oh, no. They've got some players on this ball club, and it's just a matter of time.
Kuklik, the quarterback draw again, this time a little bit of room as he bounces forward. Sean Hamlet, who was injured earlier in the ball game. Peter Boulware also there on the stop. The kid was a terrific athlete in high school. Drafted by the Mets, the number 5 guy in the draft in high school by the Mets.
A lot of people wanted this young man in their program. Wake landed him. It's going to pay off.
Whistle blow before the snap. Did we get too long to get it off?
Flag on the field.
And yes, we have the call from one of the back officials who is in charge of keeping an eye on the huddle clock.
For the dead ball, delay of game on the offense, 5-yard penalty. You still have second down.
Make it a 2nd and 12 situation now for Bryan. Wake with 2 games left on the schedule. They'll wind up the home season next week against the Duke Blue Devils before going to Carter Finley and Raleigh for the finale of the year against North Carolina State. Davis, the man in motion. Kuklik again with the short drop. Davis had James Colsey knifing in front of him, and I think both guys thought, boy, I should have caught that.
Yeah, Colsey wanted it. He thought he was going to pick up his 3rd interception on the season. A little pressure. Florida State now starting to take this thing personal with the pass rush. Now's the time for Wake to run the slant and go. So you set them up now. You've completed several slants, hitches. Now you get the hitch and go, slant and go, and you might get money.
Might get Raynard Wilson in your face, too.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. You got to get past 58 and 55, who sooner or later you know they're going to find you.
3rd and long, draw play. Herman make that John Lewis, and that goes nowhere. Reinhard Wilson, Peter Boulware, and Jerry Johnson all in the area.
Yeah, I thought that was a good call. I was just about to say, great call. I mean, how do these guys get upfield that quick? Could have been a flag on that. That's WWF. You know, if you can't hold a guy and keep him out of the play, that says a lot for the guy. 55.
William Clark.
Yeah.
He tried to do everything other than take out a straitjacket. It's a fake. Kuklik will throw the ball on the punt, but it sails out of the reach. Samari Roll was on the coverage as he threw it towards D'Angelo Solomon. Another good call by Jim Caldwell, even though it didn't work out. 9:47 to play in this one. Florida State in command. You cheating. Line. Dan Kendra with Thad Busby having the bad wrist has gone all the way at quarterback. More and more of the backup players getting an opportunity. This is Steve Feaster on the carry for a couple of flag flies in at the end of the play. Kelvin Moses with another hit for the Demon Deacons.
Moses on the tackle, penalty flag throw.
Another penalty against the Seminoles. One of the things that will give the coaches plenty to talk about in the video review and during practice next week.
Yeah,
Updates and some other scores is 4th quarter in Raleigh, and NC State still in control of that one. Florida State slow start, but in command against Vanderbilt. The Gators, the #1 team in the country. Although the people in Tallahassee might disagree with that, they'll get a chance to decide that on the 30th. Play action. Kendra steps Gets away from a tackle, gets it to Lamar Glenn. Coles gives him a block, and Glenn lowers the shoulder and takes it out to the 45.
Well, that's a fine play by Kendra. You know, he avoids the rush, and then you watch this one. I know in his mind he wanted to go in and help him with a block. Then he catches it. See, that's neat there. That's athleticism. Then he keys up, finds some touch, and what you don't see later on is that he almost went down to throw a block and thought, you know, I'm the quarterback. Maybe I ought to back up a bit. That's a fine play.
What a good move on a pretty good-looking young defensive lineman. Devon Mellerson was the number 96 there who Kendra avoided.
And Mellerson's a 275-pounder that can run.
Pump fake, looking downfield for Dugans. Good coverage by D'Angelo Solomon to break it up.
Very nice.
Dustin Lyman on a blitz unloaded on Kendra as he got rid of the football. It'll be a 3rd down situation now.
No, D'Angelo Solomon can play. I mean, this has not been the best of season. I'm sure he thought it would be a little better, but this kid has talent, and one-on-one, you have to like his chances against any receiver in the conference.
Well, it's been a good game for a defense that gave up 52 points to Maryland, that's giving up 500 yards of offense a game, and it's been only 390 yards by Florida State to this point. Way over the head of Peter Warwick. Kendra has had that problem this afternoon. Tom Stetzer, the closest man in the area, but Warwick had no chance to flag that one down. And
now this is something to build on. I mean, there's no way that Sean List had any idea he would play as much as he's played today for Florida State.
That's a credit to Wake Forest again. In terms of hanging tough, they've got the block on, but List gets it away. Solomon watches it bounce. It takes a Wake Forest bounce back out to about the 17 or 18-yard line, and that's where the Demon Deacons will have it with 8:28 to go in this one. Florida State on its way to win number 8. Have him being able back up and continue to push Brian Kuklik, 6'2", 215-pounder.
Kuklik's done a fine job. I mean, I think it's good to get him out of there. He's played hard. He's made some throws, taken some hits, and gone against this relentless pass rush of Florida State. And still stand to tell about it. You know, we watch programs develop, and you can look at Wake Forest and for all of the fans that follow Wake and really realize that this thing is moving in the right direction. Good young talent, athletic, fast. Got this kid Kane in the backfield and wide receivers big. And so it's a couple more classes or so. It's going to be awesome.
Never saw the flag in the pile of bodies, but a holding call against the Demon Deacons puts it back inside the 10-yard line. They'll repeat first down. Davis and Clark, the 2 wide receivers for Sankey, and they'll again go to the tailback. That's Herman Lewis this time, the junior out of Columbus, Georgia, is hit again by Theon Rackley, young linebacker who has come on a lot in recent weeks.
But you're going to get some playing time. Again, you watch it how it closes. I mean, he's got bodies flying all over. Everybody's trying to get into film work. Good defensive coaches, man, they judge those guys by how many hats get to the football.
2nd and 16 for the Deeks. Sankey again will go to the tailback, and a little more room this time for Herman Lewis. Harold Battles, the 5th-year senior out of Jacksonville, comes up to make the hit out at about the original line of scrimmage. Lewis started to check out, but will stay in the ball game. Wande Shaw departs, so Herman and John Lewis will now be the backs behind quarterback Ben Sankey on 3rd and long. 3rd and about 10. Come up with it. Florida State with their 2nd fumble recovery of the day, their 11th of the season. And coming up with it was number 75. That's Billy Rhodes, the nose guard.
Well, this is what they do. If you fumble, they recover. If they fumble, they recover. You know, it's just one of those things. They capitalize on mistakes and minimize theirs. This is, really hurts the defense. It's had a great effort today, and the score won't be indicative of that.
Well, they talked about their plus-minus situation, and that fumble gives them just a +1, but as Doc said, they're so effective when they come up with your mistake. Kelvin Moses with another stop as Deep make that Rock Preston carried the football. Look at that. 12 touchdowns after turnovers this season. Back down to the field, and Chip Carter.
Hey, thanks, Jack. You know, actually, the team that needs a game ball is these guys. The Wake Forest band drove all night Thursday to get here, and now they still look sharp. And the best thing is, you guys know requests? How about Danger Zone? You know what?
Boy, do you have power, Chip. Ask and you shall receive.
Chip's the man.
Ball short hop to Lavernius Coles. Damian Daniel on the coverage. I would have really been impressed if you would have picked up the sousaphone or something like that, Chip. You know, then that would have really been something.
Anybody can give an order, but can you play the instruments?
Doc plays a mean air guitar.
Well, yeah, I'm pretty good at that. Used to be an old saxophone guy, alto sax in my youth.
Third down situation for Dan Kendra. Looking for the corner. And caught out of the end zone. Flags fly. The question is,
who's pushing?
Who's pushing who?
That used to be an old song in the 60s, wasn't it? Who's pushing who?
Peter Warwick and D'Angelo Solomon were pushing and shoving, and I thought they were going to make the call against Warwick, but let's wait officially.
Well, he found the football before D'Angelo Solomon did.
Well, obviously one official saw it one way, another saw it another way, so you have the discussion and see who presents the best argument to Ron Cherry, our referee.
Might not be a bad no flagger.
On the field, we have pass interference against the defense. We've got pass interference against the offense. We're going to alternate the penalty.
I'm going to say, Doc, a couple of weeks ago in a high school football game, I saw the same thing.
I think it's a good call. Okay, I mean, where are you going with it? If anything, it might have been offensive pass interference, but still, I mean, that kid,
I think they
Warwick,
called defensive interference there and then offensive interference
but watch
there.
Warwick. See, Warwick doesn't give up on the football. He makes that reception. Man, that's nice. This kid, he's another one in the great line of receivers at FSU.
Kendra gets another down to try it again, going to the end zone, and this time intended for the tight end who was playing for, now that was Kevin Profit, another wide receiver who getting a chance to play in the late going, couldn't come up with it. I thought that was one of the backup tight ends with Kamari Charlton out of the ball game.
Right-handed quarterback, rolling left, getting under some pressure. Good idea with the football.
Profit tangling up with Tom Stetzer, but the no call, and that'll mean another field goal try for Scott Bentley. This one a 33-yard try.
A 33-yard field goal.
Out of the hole to Travis Chambers, and it's good. Florida State bumps it out to 41-7 with just over 6:20 to play here in Orlando. Touchdown and a couple of field goals here in the second half, and Sean Liss really nailed that kickoff to the back line. And Wake Forest again out at its own 20-yard line. While the two teams set up, we'll have an opportunity to take a look at our Food Lion most valuable players for this game. Dan Kendra with 3 touchdown tosses without an interception in his first collegiate start gets the award for the Florida State Seminoles. And while they weren't overwhelming numbers for Brian Kuklik, considering the duress he was under most of the ball game, he deserves a lot of credit just for being able to go back to the locker room under his own power after this one.
A lot of guys in his position that don't survive it.
Ben Sankey, the quarterback now for Wake Forest, his second possession. Gives it off to the tailback, Herman Lewis, and that doesn't go anywhere. Sankey yet to throw a pass. Larry Smith, big number 99. There again, a freshman out of Folkston, Georgia.
Yeah, little guy.
Yeah, 6'5", 280.
Yeah. Once they start to really feed him. Oh, man, it's amazing. You imagine somebody had to play against that guy last year. It's just out of my conception to have to face a guy like that in high school.
Loss of a yard on the first down play. Sankey puts up the ball, his first pass of the day, looking for Jamie Deese. Good coverage downfield by Mario Edwards, the sophomore, to break it up. Edwards out of Pascagoula, Mississippi. That's the same town as Terrell Buckley, who's a pretty fair defensive back in Florida State time. Kes McCorvey, one of the great FSU receivers out of the same high school.
Well, you know, once you go in, that's a great effort by both receiver and cornerback, and you land a blue chipper, one of those All-Americans, and he has a good experience. It's easy to go back to that high school.
3rd and 11 for Sankey. Changing the play at the line of scrimmage is the Noles have 6 in the box, but they only rush 4. Little out route to Tabidi Davis. Byron Capers was there on the coverage. Sankey was getting a face full of Peter Boulware on the play, and Deeks will have to punt it away again. Tabidi Davis unhappy with the pass, but he didn't realize what was happening to that guy at the other end.
He wouldn't want to play quarterback this week. Still, this is an offense that has got to get 83 involved in it. Clark as often as possible.
Trip Moore against pressure, and it's partially blocked. They've blocked 5 this year. Caught in the air for Florida State by Dexter Jackson, and they'll have it at the Wake 25-yard line. We'll step away with 5:24 to play. Florida State threatening again.
Food Line goes to...
Just about ready to put another one in the win column. Their 8th of the year. Little quick route to Lavernius Coles on the hitch, and he's shoved out of bounds after a pickup of about 7 on the play. Damian Daniel, the principal shover. Florida State jumped out to a 14-0 lead. Morgan Kane then ran 80 yards for a score for Wake Forest to make it 14-7, but the strength and relentless drive of this Florida State team has pretty much determined the outcome in this one. Now the fade route to Coles. Pushed out of bounds. They said he wouldn't have caught it inbounds anyway as they floated it over the head of Damian Daniel.
They are determined to get a red area touchdown in the air. And I like these matchups. You get a chance to get the fade. Nice touch pass. Let's see if the ball. Yeah, ball a little bit out of bounds. Great effort. Makes the reception. Good call by the Stripers.
Yeah, that official has to determine that he wouldn't have gotten a foot down without the shove. Toss it to Dee Feaster, breaking to his left. A good tackle by David Zadell, and it is no gain on the play, and it'll make it 4th down. They started to send Bentley and company out, and yes, that's what they're going to do. The Noel fans are not happy. They wanted them to go for the touchdown.
Oh, boy.
I'm sure from Bobby's perspective, Doc, you know, you can never practice enough special team situations,
and you want it live. You want live opportunities, but the fans they're thinking about some of these high scores we'll hear about later on this afternoon.
Bentley got it in left upright for his 3rd field goal of the ball game and his 12th of the season. 4.5 to go in this one in Orlando. Florida State adds to its advantage. A shot at another national championship as they lead 44-7 with 4:32 to play. Sean Liss, who has done a good job kicking off after he botched the opening kickoff. Since then, he's hit him better and better. Another good kickoff. Savage in the end zone will stay there. Back down to the field, and Chip Carter.
Thanks a lot, Jack. You're probably wondering, what is that exactly? Well, it's a holder. If you're a kicker, there's nobody to ever practice with it because you can't find anybody to hold the thing. Well, a little PVC pipe, instant holder, and then you just kind of do whatever you want. Plenty of time to take this shot. Go ahead. A little bit of trivia, though. The Wake Forest kicker is a freshman, Matt Burdick. In 3 games, he has never attempted a field goal yet.
Chip is all over it. I like it. Why didn't I think of that? The little holder with the PVC pipe.
Yeah, you could have made a few bucks, right?
Made a few.
On first down, they give it to Herman Lewis, and he'll get maybe a yard or two. Larry Smith is there again. Smith's made quite a few hits since coming onto the scene. Billy Rhodes, who had a fumble recovery, is also there. Just told us that Vanderbilt has closed to within a touchdown of Florida in the game in Nashville. That's as loud a cheer as we've had here in a little while.
Right, our partners at JP Sports must be having a ball.
3 wide receivers to the right of Ben Sankey on 2nd and 9. He'll roll to buy some time and flips it out to Jamie Deese, and they'll have a first down. Mario Edwards on the hit, but Jamie Deese with another catch, the freshman out of Laurinburg, North Carolina. That's Sankey, the redshirt freshman from Chicago. Wake Forest, of course, smaller school, but Jim Caldwell really doing his best to try and expand the scope of their recruiting to more than just the Atlantic Coast area.
Great education they offer.
Deep handoff to Herman Lewis. He gets back to the line of scrimmage and runs into Larry Smith again. Under 3 minutes to go in this one. We want to make sure in our efforts to wrap things up at the end of the game to thank the people up here who have done such a great job for us. Regan Nash, our stage manager, Tara Richter, our spotter, or our runner, Doug Gerber, our spotter here. Sorry, Doug. And Dan Pearson, who's done a great job doing our stats for us up here. We thank all those folks for their efforts here today in Orlando. Sankey saw the wave of white coming at him, and down he went back at the 25. Theon Rackley leading the way, along with Billy Rhodes.
Billy Rhodes is a player. When these guys come in from Florida State, and again, we mentioned it, when they start to have substitutions, I mean, they don't really drop off in talent. They drop off in experience. That's a good rush, good converge.
Referee stopping the clock for the moment. Brian Kuklik, who knows exactly what Ben Sankey went through on that play because he faced that all day.
Yeah, thanks, Coach. Glad you took me out.
Now they called a dead ball unsportsmanlike conduct penalty against Florida State, so it takes it out to the 40-yard line, and I believe that's an automatic first down. We'll wait and see for sure. Indeed, a first down. No, it is not. They started to move the chains, now pushed him back. 3rd and 2. Clock starts up again.
3rd and 2.
Shaw and John Lewis, the backs. Sankey will throw. Going downfield to Beatty Davis. Couldn't handle it. Good coverage again by Mario Edwards.
Mario showing some upper body strength on that one.
6'2", 185-pounder, and could be another good one. Playing behind a senior Byron Capers, so feels like, hey, it's going to be my chance the next couple of years if I keep making plays like that.
Yeah, good finish. You think about Clifton Abraham, Dion,
Corey Sawyer, Darrell Buckley.
That's some great ones.
Feaster, fair catch back at his own 20.
Fair catch
With
ball
150 to go in this
20-yard line.
We've not seen much of D. Feaster at tailback this afternoon. Looks like he's going to stay out there for the final 150. Next Saturday, our ACC game of the week will be in Death Valley. The Clemson Tigers, still with hopes of a bowl opportunity, will tangle with the NC State Wolfpack, the Textile Bowl, when those two schools get together. Next Saturday at noon from Clemson. Check your local listings for the station in your area. Kendra, even in the closing moments, going to put it up on a screen to Feaster. Slipped and fell, and it'll end up being a loss of about 5 yards on the play. He had Mark Makovic in the area, but D let himself down on that play when he couldn't keep his footing.
Yeah, D's a little frustrated today. Not been quite how he had this one figured out.
At the 16-yard line. Second and 15.
70 seconds to go in this one on second and 15. This time they'll give it to Feaster conventionally, trying to get to the corner. He knew he wanted to stay in bounds. Mark Makovic, who was there on one side, is there on the other to make the hit. And it'll be 3rd and long.
Tackled by Makovic.
Makovic, the sophomore out of Nescahoning, Pennsylvania. He'll be back for a couple of more years for the Deacs. Good side-to-side coverage for the Demon back, as they call their backside outside linebacker. On 3rd down, they give it to the fullback. That's Khalid Abdullah getting his first carry, and that could be the final play of the ball game. They won't have to punt it again as the clock will tick down the final seconds. Florida State improves to 8-0. Wake Forest drops to 2-7, and 35,000 fans here in Orlando enjoyed their opportunity to see their Seminoles up close. Bobby Bowden walks across the field to talk with Jim Caldwell of Wake Forest as his team stays in line in its hopes for another national championship. Our final score here in Orlando this afternoon, 44-7, Florida State, the victors. We want to thank all the people who bring you all the pictures and sounds of this football game. We've got great technical support, and they did their usual outstanding job.
Folks, I'm Dave Edwards, and last month when we rolled back our clocks, we rolled ours back 3 years. That's right, you can buy 97 Toyotas at 1994 prices. You can buy a brand new 97 Camry, automatic air, power windows, power door locks, cassette player for $17,500. That's right, order your Camry today for $17,500. Or if you want a Corolla, automatic air, stereo radio, order it today for just $13,900. That's only a Dave Edwards Toyota in Spartanburg, where any Toyota adds a Dave Edwards Toyota ad.
Depression is